What we do here is go back.
I think I've turned it on now. Hopefully things should be working. Oh dear. Let us know in the comments or in the chat, sorry, if it's working. Calf's got that, so that sounds good. Hopefully you all can hear me, and hopefully you're all sat down ready and waiting for a cacophony of GPU discussion, which is probably going to go badly, and there's probably going to be some angry people in the chat, no doubt. I will say, first of all, before we start into this, we will be discussing what is possibly one of the most polarizing launches that AMD have done in a long while. Now, we are open to discussion. I think that is only fair that we discuss all sides of the argument, but if there's anybody who's going to be in the chat and is going to be either disrespectful or using foul language or just being obnoxious, you're going to get banned. So just wanted to get that there straight away. If you're being a dick, you're out of there. And hopefully, mods, you guys with the blue spanners, if you see anyone who's being deliberately obnoxious or disruptive, please feel free to kick them out. So with that said, thank you very much. It is Saturday the 29th of January 2022. Wow, that's the first month gone already. Where is time going?
Happy birthday to my brother.
Happy birthday to Calf's brother Lee. You won't be watching this, but happy birthday if you are. And who else? Someone else had a birthday. Oh, it was Atom's birthday as well. Atom, one of our Discord members. Happy birthday to you also. And I think was it Ghost's birthday this week?
It was about 2 weeks ago now, wasn't it?
It might have been last week. I'm not sure, but happy birthday to Ghost Adder as well. Also, I probably would have said it last Saturday, but yeah, things went a little bit Pete Tong last Saturday, so it didn't actually happen. So yeah, is everything okay? Sound okay? Thank you for the super chat, Bob, by the way. That was, there we go. Disco. Thank you, Ugly Bob, for your £5 super chat. Much appreciated. Thank you very much. So yeah, obviously tonight we will be talking about and discussing this. The bone of contention for a lot of people these days, AMD's RX6500XT. Which I'll stick my neck on the line and go pretty much against the majority of the tech world, viewers, buyers, etc. And I actually believe this is, caveat inserted, in some ways this is a good thing. Now clearly it isn't the product that we all hoped for, and it isn't the product that we all wanted, and it certainly isn't got the right name to it, and potentially it hasn't got the right price to it. The price I'm kind of slightly on the fence about. I think the price for what it is actually right, which you're more than welcome to debate in the comments, and I will read through and I will check them. And I won't just gloss over ones which disagree, I will go into them. So please, if you disagree in a coherent way, please put it in the comments and I will address them and we'll discuss this, because that's what YouTube in theory should always be about, is freedom of speech and people airing their opinions and all that kind of stuff. And I am a firm believer in freedom of speech. So please do get involved in the chat. Yeah, so price-wise, I think actually price-wise, there's so many things going on in the world at the moment which can influence pricing.
What's the average price?
Average price, well, I bought two of these. Hang on, no I didn't. I bought two of these. One was $179.99 and the other one was $229.99. So you're averaging in somewhere in the region of about £200, which is what they are seemingly still going for in some places if you can get them. The Asus one, this one was actually Ugly Bob's, and then we actually traded because I didn't obviously need two identical cards. So he bought the Asus one and sent it to me for review. So I said, well, tell you what, save you waiting and me hanging on to this card, I'll send you my Pulse. It cost me the same, $179.99. This was $179.99 from overclockers.co.uk here in the UK. So yeah, we just did a trade and yeah, it worked out well. So you could argue £180 is kind of where the price is likely to lie. It's still very early days at the moment, so we don't entirely know what is going to go on. It could be either way. Have I cleared that? Yes, I have, sorry. I'm looking at the screen now and that's... Why has that gone wrong? Yeah, let's say hello to some of you in the chat first of all anyway. Let's get that done. Why is this not working properly? I knew there would be some issues.
Oh, scrolling up and down. Yeah, mine didn't work on here either.
Oh, right, okay. So yeah, Ugly Bob's with us, so as you said. So Ugly Bob was first in the doors as well, early doors. Chris Tost, thank you very much. And Chris Tost, thank you as well for becoming a member of the channel. Do appreciate that. Old Man Withers is with us. We've also got Matthew Day. What is Matthew Day's food of the day? He is today having chicken pie with a vegetable medley, waiting in the microwave currently, gravy granules waiting for kettle. That sounds pretty good. William Bodie says, I did already like this video, but when I did press... question marks.
Oh,
Moaning to you all.
Dave Aikens also said it was no link in Discord, but do you want to explain?
Oh yeah, there was no link in the Discord for this stream because this stream is effectively the stream
we didn't do last week.
Is that frozen? Oh no, it hasn't. No, it was just me looking in a direction. That's confusing the hell out of me. Yeah, this stream is basically last week's stream. So we had it all set up and then we had something of a bit of a medical emergency we had to attend to, which was about 8:30, I think it was. And so yeah, it all went a bit wrong last week. Things are sort of settled now, so we are getting on with things. So yes, this is where we are. So if you were in last week's stream in the queue or in the chat waiting for the stream to happen, if you clicked on like then, your like still counts. So yeah, just to explain that one. Yeah, that's why we've got probably more likes than viewers at some point. Where are we? Oh yeah, Ugly Bob explained that as well. Rick H is with us as well. Stuart Cleary, how you doing, Stuart? William H, yes. Caff Churchill, said all those. Pete Unwin, how you doing, Pete? Dutch Jan, how you doing, Dutch Jan? William Bodie said, Paul Bakewell, good evening, Paul. Howdy to you. Sky Stalker, our friend in what is probably very cold Canada right now. How you doing, mate? Hopefully you're feeling better. Kath just made a gesture, but I'm not gonna go into it. It wasn't a rude one.
It wasn't rude.
No.
Which is unlike me.
Yeah, this is unlikely actually.
Which is why Mike was so shocked, I think.
Yeah. Dom's with us. How you doing, Dom? Mark Berry says all the usual suspects are here. Yes, they certainly are. Nicholas Barlow, how you doing? Big Balls Bev. Kath asked me to say actually that Big Balls Bev, your name is actually in Kath's auto-predict on her phone for saying hello. So yeah,
I didn't program it in it.
She didn't program it in, it was just there.
I do this every week. It makes me laugh.
John Sullivan's with us. How you doing? Deathstroke as well. Nick Barnes. Captain Meets Adventures Says, all right, you bunch of sexy potatoes. I didn't have any potato. No, we didn't have any potatoes today, did we? We had a beef stew. It was very nice, no potatoes, just vegetables.
Low carb.
Low carb, yeah, low carb, lots of healthy, good stuff.
Once a week now.
I thought at the beginning of the week, in midweek, I thought I was having a little bit of a cold or a flu. I think I got a bit run down from last weekend and all the kind of aftermath of that. I thought I was really coming down with like a little bit of allergy, but seemed to be okay. Been hitting the vitamins and vitamins and all the supplements and stuff. Actually don't feel too bad. Tired, but feeling okay. So who else is with us? Antonio says, hello everyone. Ultimate Tech Hub, how you doing, Mike? Hopefully things are considerably warmer for you in Texas right now. UK Vamp Undead says, hi, Eggmaster's with us. How you doing, Sir Soppy of Balls? That always makes me chuckle. That always does. Who else? I think that is pretty much everyone. Dave Aitken says, capture from the link in the Discord. Yeah, that was because of, yeah, we explained that. That's cool. Thank you, David. Bauer says, I got a 165 GTX 1066 gig instead of the 6500 XT. I'm still wondering if I made the best decision. Yeah, the 1066 gig I would say is definitely the better card. At £165 on the used market, it's actually not a bad price. It's actually pretty decent. That is part and parcel, actually. Yeah, we might as well get into the main meat and veg of this. The whole point...
So can I just add one question?
Yes.
Nick Barnes.
Nick Barnes, I had a question.
Mike, when they say no encoders, does this mean I cannot watch 265 encoded movies?
No. In regard to the encoders and decoders, right, we'll discuss that. So, let's go back to... Where should we start? Where should we start? This is a very long and drawn out thing, it really is. So, I suppose we should talk about specs. Specs are probably a good place to start because then we can make some kind of assumptions and make some conclusions and give some comparisons. So, as most of you probably know already, this is a PCI Express Gen 4 card, which you'd think is a good thing, which in normal situations that would be deemed as a good thing. Whereas this sadly is only a PCI Express Gen 4 x4 physically. So that means it only has a x4 connection to the motherboard. Now this is where it comes into some problems if you're running an older system that doesn't support PCI Express Gen 4 on the graphics card slot or from the processor itself, which is what directly communicates. If you're not running PCI Express Gen 4, it's going to go back to then PCI Express Gen 3 x4, which is actually quite a significant, well, actually I suppose it'd be x8 technically because it's double the speed, but anyway, physically it'd be 4 x8 it will be. So yeah, you are losing bandwidth. Now this card is a relatively low-end card and it isn't pushing huge numbers as we've seen. So the bandwidth thing is kind of, it was right on the edge. And you can tell by some of the benchmarks, obviously some games aren't affected by it at all. Some games are massively affected by it. In general, kind of across maybe a 20 or 30 game spectrum, which were tested from Hardware Unboxed, there was somewhere in the region of about anywhere between 5 and 10% is you're kind of lost, you're looking at potentially in games, going from PCI Express Gen 4 to PCI Express Gen 3. So that is the first negative, obviously. Now the reason for this is because essentially this graphics card, or the actual processor on it, was originally designed for a completely different purpose. And that purpose was to go into laptops and to be used in conjunction with a new 6000 series Renoir processor. The reason behind some of the cutbacks of this in terms of the encoding and decoding is because in that particular kind of setup with the 6000 series Renoir chip and this as a graphics chip, all of the H.264, H.265 encoding would have been done in hardware on the 6000 series Renoir chip. So obviously because of where this was originally designed to go, it makes sense that they removed it because there's no point having it on the graphics card and having it on the processor that it is eventually going to be on the market with. Obviously there is a very long development cycle, generally anywhere between kind of 2 to 5 years is what you'd expect, if not longer, depending on the roadmaps, etc, etc. So in terms of what the 6500 XT is meant to be, it does make perfect sense. Now obviously, because this would have been also in a laptop rather than a desktop, traditionally when we look at graphics card naming schemes, if for instance you look at an older graphics card on the Nvidia side, just to even things up a little bit, if you had a look at a older Nvidia GTX 980, the desktop version would be significantly faster than the laptop variety. And in fact, in some instances, they would possibly change the laptop version and call it a GTX 980M, as in mobile, for instance. Now this isn't always the case. Some companies do, some models do, some don't. So it is down to the individual kind of spec or unit. So again, we can see where this is getting its name from. This was intended to go into a laptop. It was intended to use the PCI Express Gen 4x4 bus. And in terms of its laptop characteristics against the other models in the field, the 6500 XT put it clearly for the consumer in a position where they knew what they were getting. In terms of if they had a 6700 XT in a laptop, they would expect a certain level of power, which again would obviously be considerably less than a 6700 XT as a desktop variety. Is this making sense? Kath, is this making sense to you? You're not listening, are you? She's got off the ball. I'm going to look in the. I'm going to break up every now and then, look in the comments and seeing if what I'm saying is making it through to you, because I really want you to understand my point of view. So then, obviously, when you're challenging my point of view, I know that you've understood my point of view, so I can take a balanced kind of retort or response or whatever they call it these days. So. Ugly Bob says, I never thought I'd see the day when Mike had not one but two brand new GPUs in front of him. If it would have been, it would have been three. If I could have got my hands on an RTX 3050, I would have bought one of those as well. But yeah, they have been pretty much unobtainium. Why won't that let me scroll? I will. Maybe potatoes on the table, UK Vampire Dead said. Very good. Right, okay, it looks like it's, yeah, it looks like you're all doing okay. Bauer says, I think too many tech reviewers were trying to push max settings on the 1500 XT. It's a 1080p medium card. I think that's actually a very valid point. But
somebody else, that's how they always test GPUs.
Yeah, as reviewers are testing graphics cards, what they'll tend to do, and it is right, they are doing it from a very scientific way, which makes sense. Don't get me wrong, it makes sense. So if you get one computer setup, you do a benchmark, you take the graphics card out, you put another graphics card in, you run exactly the same tests, you get a difference in performance figures between the two. So that gives you a completely ideal situation so you can see the difference between them. That makes sense, but also raw numbers aren't the be-all and end-all. Now it's good if we're in a market where there are shelves and shelves full of graphics cards and they're all reasonably priced and everyone can just walk into and go, oh yeah, actually I've got £300, yes, I think I like that one. Pick up the shelf and take it away with you. Those days are gone. They're gone completely. And any kind of previous experience you've had in the computing industry in terms of a card you may have bought last year, a card you may have bought the year before, whatever it is, you have to forget that is history. Now it's useful in terms of comparisons. So this card compares pretty much with an RX570, RX580, and probably a 1063 gig, maybe a 1066 gig, that kind of thing. It's in that kind of ballpark. In some instances, it does particularly bad and is a GTX 970. In other issues, it rises higher and gets closer to other cards higher up the stack. It's very much swings and roundabouts. So this is useful in terms of a comparison as if you've already got a graphics card. So if you have one of those cards I've just said, like an RX570, an RX580, then you know realistically upgrading to this, upgrading is probably the wrong word, but changing to this graphics card, essentially you're going to get very similar performance. And in some instances, if you're streaming or whatever, potentially you could be even worse. But the whole point of that is, yes, it is a very good means of saying, right, okay, that is what the card will do. But you can't buy those cards anymore, at least not on the new market. So that adds another variable in terms of what will you actually buy a 580 for. Now actually, just before I come on stream, I did a check on eBay to see what prices are going for RX 580s, both the 4GB and the 8GB version, and you're looking around about £250 to £300. So if you look back at the comparisons that Hardware Unboxed and others have done, saying that the 580 is kind of in some instances faster, in some instances slower, that actually makes sense. In today's value, if you're looking at buying an RX 580 second-hand for £250, which I wouldn't recommend, or buying this brand new off the shelf for £180 to £200, clearly, even though there are some drawbacks, this in 90% of cases is going to be the better option.
In your opinion?
In my opinion. Now, obviously, you are more than welcome to disagree with that opinion. And please do. Communication and conversation is what keeps this world going. Long may it continue. So that is my point of view. Also, again, I can't remember who it was. They said they got a GTX 1060 6GB for £165. I'm guessing that's used. I can't imagine anyone selling one brand new at the moment. So in that terms, for that price, you've got equivocal power. You've actually got a better encoder on there. So you've saved a few quid, you've saved maybe 20, 30 quid. Yes, you've got the risk of having a slightly older graphics card which may have been abused in a previous life. It may only last you a couple of months. It may last you the rest of your life. That is the great unknown, which again is another thing of why this is actually a good thing, because you can buy it. These, I think the Pulse versions come with a 2-year warranty. I think I remember seeing 2 or 3 years. So essentially, you've got some safeguard. Even if you overclock the absolute snot out of it, it's still going to have its warranty, because they're going to have a hard job proving that you overclocked it too hard. So, yes, that is kind of some of my reasoning behind this. Now, obviously, if you're someone who is gaming and streaming at the same time, firstly, these level of cards, you probably shouldn't be doing that with anyway. They're really not designed for it. If you're streaming, then obviously this isn't the best of decisions to make. But if you've bought a PC or you've built a PC and you've got a pretty decent processor in there, such as a 6 or 8 core Ryzen, you can quite easily offload the streaming onto the processor and just let the graphics card do the graphics, let your CPU do the streaming, because your CPU is waiting for stuff anyway. Most modern games are very GPU based, so your CPU's just sat there just like, anything for me to do? Yeah, actually, I've got a great idea. Why don't you do the bloody streaming and the graphics card can do its thing? That is what it always used to be. It was only a recent thing where GPUs were used to offload that kind of load. So it's not as if it's like, oh my god, it won't stream. No, it won't. But your system is more than likely more than capable of doing so. So yeah, because it doesn't do hardware encoding, it's not the end of the world for the majority of people. And in terms of actually playback, I've used both of these cards and I've watched 720p, 1080p, 1440p and 4K footage from my PC, and it's been absolutely flawless. So in terms of playback, if watching movies is your thing, you're going to be absolutely fine. Now there's going to be certain codecs which I think is AV1, it might struggle with a little bit, but again, if you've got a relatively decent CPU, your CPU is going to take over anyway and do what it needs to do. You may need to configure that in your software, but it's not the end of the world having these features taken off the card. It really isn't. Yes, Gav?
Questions?
Questions, I have questions. I'm going to have a slurp of tea. Let's have a look. Bauer says if they sold a 8GB 6500 XT for 250 quid, I think I would have nabbed one. Yeah, the lack of memory is something which is definitely a consideration. 1080p for the majority of slightly older games, it isn't a problem. But for some of the more modern games with a lot more textures packed into them, you are going to be seeing some compromises made. Which, sadly, that is the way of things. This isn't a perfect world. It really isn't, and at the moment is... Yeah, I think we have discovered that quite well. Yeah, it's been an absolute shit 2 years. And the way things are going, things don't appear to be getting any better. Not in the short term. And again, which is another reason why actually having this card, yes, it's not perfect. It's completely got the wrong name. It should realistically be called the RX6300XT or the RX6400 or something. Just, they should have named it something else. By giving it this name, the name of its laptop predecessor or its intended use, that I feel was AMD's biggest mistake. The price, I genuinely don't believe the price is a problem. It is comparatively, but like I said, things aren't where they were 2 years ago. Memory chips are ridiculously expensive now. Production costs, crazy. Transportation costs, 10, 15, 20 times more expensive than they were 2 years ago. All those prices have to be taken into consideration. TSMC have put up their price, I think it's 20%. All these little bits, 5% here, 10% there, 20% there, a little bit of shipping costs, a little bit of VAT, a little bit of import tax, distribution tax. It's just all mounts up. And that's going to take a toll on our wallets ultimately. So yes, maybe this is probably a £120 card, £130 card. But with today's inflation, today's pricing and the way things are in the world, £200 for something like this, actually, we should be thanking them. They can't be making much money on it. They really can't. Anyway, let's move on. Markovsky says, and it has ray tracing. It does have ray tracing, and I'll be honest with you, I did try it in Cyberpunk. I've actually got some footage on the computer, which if you want to, I can play it back in a minute and you can see what some of the footage is like. It's actually not bad. I was playing Cyberpunk on both of these cards and it was playable. In actual fact, Dave Aitken came round the other day to pick up some case, and I had Cyberpunk running on the Asus card and we were playing around with some settings, and 1080p, low settings, 45 frames per second in the city. That's playable. As far as I'm concerned, that's playable. And in fact, when Cyberpunk first came out, even some high-end stuff was struggling to get those kind of frame rates with all the eye candy turned on, which most people, if you kind of glance, it's not always obvious which has got RTX on or off anyway. So, yeah, it is what it is.
Skystalker asks a question.
Skystalker asks a question.
What is the 2080 Super worth in the US or UK?
A 2080 Super in the US or the UK, I have no idea. I wouldn't even hazard a guess. I would assume it's got to be around about £1,000, if not more. Actually, I'm going to have a look, just for comparison's sake. Talk amongst yourselves. Where is CEX? We'll go with CEX prices. They're generally horrendous, but we'll try it anyway. This will give us an idea of what you could potentially actually buy one.
And also, Short Shins, what's your opinion on the 2060 refresh? To me, it seems aimed at minors. Yeah,
it probably is really. 2080 Super at the moment from CEX.
2080 you're doing.
Sorry, 2080 Super. Yeah, 2080 Super, 8 gig model. They are currently selling for 850 UK pounds. So I'm guessing that is around about 1,500 Canadian dollars. Somewhere in that region. In fact, actually, some of the higher end cards actually have kind of maintained a relatively sensible price, if that is even such a thing. Anyway, let's get back to that. So, Patrick LaBelle's with us. How you doing, Patrick? Markovsky says 4 gig is bad though. It is. 4 gig isn't great. And I actually, the review of this card will be coming out, I think, in about 3 or 4 days time, maybe, is it? I'm not entirely sure.
Probably longer.
It'll be out shortly. I think it might already be out to members. Patrons, it probably is. Yeah.
No, I don't know if it is actually.
Cap's checking.
Probably tomorrow.
It'll probably be released to patrons tomorrow, members shortly after, etc. So we'll try and get it on the channel soon so you can actually see what my point of view is and the gameplay results that I had from it. I lost my train of thought there. What was I going to say? Let's read that. Oh, 4 gig. Yeah, sorry. I took it apart and actually had a look at the RAM chips. Literally, there's 2 RAM chips on there. You've got 2 2-gig RAM chips. Now, if you think that the chips are 32-bit bus, the GPU is a 64-bit bus, so I don't think it's possible for them to actually do an 8-gig card of this. I think that's the reason why they stuck with 4. I think they would have probably liked to have done 8, because AMD generally do like to add more RAM to compete with NVIDIA, because NVIDIA have a really good RAM compression technology, whereas AMD rely on just having sheer volume of RAM. So I don't think it's actually physically possible for this card to have more than 4 gigs of RAM, which again would then relate to how it works in the laptop, whereas most laptops use shared RAM from the system. Most shared RAM is kind of 2 gig tops. So maybe it's got something to do with that, I'm not entirely sure. But I'm pretty confident. Again, I'm not an expert in this, I'm really not. I pick up bits and pieces as I go along. From what I can tell, with the 64-bit memory bus, I don't think you can physically have more than 2 chips. They may be able to change those chips out, and maybe some lunatic somewhere is going to desolder them and actually put on 2 4 gig chips to make it an 8 gig card. That would be insane. I would actually like to do that. I won't be able to because I'm useless at soldering, but I would actually genuinely love to be able to do that. Let's go through. Mark Berry says, we thought 2020 was bad, then 2021 was worse, and 2022 is off to a bad start already. Christopher Butt says, new silicon factories are being built, chips are needed in every industry, eventually supply will meet demands, but prices may still never go down. I personally don't think that supply will ever meet demand. If you look at the explosion in the usage of chips in every walk of life, I don't actually think it will ever meet demand. I think they will always outstrip the demand. That's my personal opinion. I could be completely wrong.
Hopefully.
But silicon factories and production are extremely expensive things to do. Silicon wafers are an extremely expensive thing to make. Unless we move away from silicon and into some other form of fabrication, there's always going to be a problem because it's such a hard thing to actually do and there's so much wastage involved and all that kind of stuff. So you never know. Prices, I don't think prices will go down because of the last 2 years and what has happened, because of obviously the economy has been completely obliterated in most countries. Everyone's going to be trying to claw money back, and the most likely to claw money back is going to be the government. So you're going to be hit hard, you're going to be earning less, so things are going to end up costing more for the foreseeable. Sad but true. James Priscilla says, I refuse to buy a new Radeon GeForce XE until there are some degree of value to be had, and that may never come back. All the excuses are just excuses. Tech companies are just having record profits now. They are having record profits, you're absolutely right there. And I think if they could, I think they would make more profits. So I think there is definitely a shortage out there in the fact that Ford, Mercedes, BMW, they're all struggling to get cars out. Electronic cars here in the UK, BMW have stopped taking orders for EV cars because they just can't make them.
Deathstroke saying they're having problems getting boilers for the same reason.
Yeah, boilers are going to be the same reason because again, it's got a CPU in it or a GPU or whatever, some sort of microprocessor in there. William Bodie says the RX6500XT is great, but only on a new motherboard with a new CPU. Yeah, great is probably over-egging it. I know there's probably a translation from German as well. So yes, it would be classed as I would say it's a good card. I don't think it's great. There's never really a great card unless someone comes to you with a crazy kind of card which is half the price of what it should be. Then yeah, that's a great card. it's good. It fits what it needs to do. At the moment on the market, most of you out there, this probably doesn't affect too much. The fact that you're actually watching this, potentially you're watching this on your computer, you're sat at home, you've got your PC, it's up and running. We're the lucky ones, because we've actually got PCs with graphics cards in. There's a lot of people out there at the moment that just want to build their first gaming PC. And they don't particularly want to play the lottery on a used card on Facebook, eBay, etc, etc. They don't necessarily want to play the expensive game at CEX and places like that. So they want to buy something off the shelf with a warranty and that kind of safeguard that comes with that. So actually having something which is around the £200 mark, it's not ideal. I get that. I'm totally aware of that. And if this would have come out 2 years ago at this price, it would have been laughed off the shelves. And it is still being laughed off the shelves now, which I think is petty, to be honest with you. It is petty. Yes, again, it's named wrong. That is what has upset people, the name of the card. People were expecting it to be a 500 series card. It isn't. In terms of what was available. In terms of what is available now, it can be whatever name it wants. They could put on there 7500 XT and it doesn't make a difference. It really doesn't, because you can't compare it with anything else because there isn't anything else to buy. There really isn't. So the name is irrelevant. It's a 1080p graphics card. It's £200. Do you want one? Yes, no, yes, no, no, okay. Use your APU. That's where we're at. Or don't use your PC at all. Buy an Xbox, buy a PlayStation. If you want to play games and you're worried about frame rates, buy a PlayStation. But if you want the flexibility of a PC, you want to be able to upgrade it at some point, you want to download wares, torrents, all that kind of stuff, you're going to have a PC, aren't you? Let's move on. Christopher Butt says CX have a 2-year warranty. Actually, yes, that is a good point. In the second-hand market, CX are a very good shout. They do have that 2-year warranty. Packaging possibly might not always be great, and you might be paying slightly over the odds. I quite like CX. I buy quite a lot of stuff there. So even though it's hit and miss what arrives, yeah, it's literally I buy it for the lols. It's good content. It does make good content. Team Drift Nation video. What's that, about the case?
Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah.
I've answered that.
Why are you letting this scroll?
I don't know, mine was the same on your account.
Stupid thing. Where are we?
But he hopes you didn't like it too much. That.
Hi Cosmic, how you doing?
Favourite flip case.
It might be. It might be.
What?
It might be my favourite flip case, or his.
No, his.
Oh, right.
I hope you didn't like it too much that they can't get it.
They might do. They might actually. Ultimate Tech Hub says Nvidia stock has dropped severely in the last 2 months. The thing is, everything is going to. You look at Bitcoin, all the other things, pretty much the entire stock market, even the US dollar, over the last month has dropped. And the US dollar is continuing to drop, probably on average at least like between 1 to 10 cents a month. So if you take that on a long enough trajectory, it's not great. UK pound is in the same position. So the pound has been devalued, inflation is going up, they're about to stick on another, I think it's 1.5% national insurance. So pretty much everybody in the country is going to be another kind of £1,200 worse off at the end of the year. Go UK. That's works out really great. So yeah, if you're paying national insurance, you're going to be paying a lot more soon. Actually no, 1,200 was it? Anyway, it's 1.5%. They're going to add it on. Cosmic says, great is a stretch. Yes, it is. William Bodie says, at Cav Churchill, is he not using one of the new coffee cups? No, I'm not actually. This is from earlier on. I had a plan. I still have a plan. I've got that box of the stuff you sent there. I was going to do an unboxing in between this, but I'm getting right into the conversation here. So I'm going to go through and show some of the things that have been done. Anyway, Fred Brown says, Mike, did they send those 6500 XTs to you? No. Well, they did, because I paid for them. This one, I think, is this a CCL?
Send it,
Yeah, I had to actually write on the bottom where I got it from, because I bought two the same. This one came from CCL. I bought this at the same time as I bought the GameMax Stealth case. Review coming up very shortly. This was £229. I thought at the time, I'm just going to get it. And then when the other one came up at £179 from overclockers.co.uk, I was like, ah, feck, what am I going to do? So I bought two. I thought, what the hell? And like I said, Bob kindly agreed to swap kind of like for like. In actual fact, this is probably going to spoil the review, but whatever, because probably most of you won't watch it anyway, because you probably don't want to watch the graphics card in it. But the Asus Dual, or Dual, however you want to pronounce it, and the Sapphire Pulse, literally not anything in between them in terms of performance-wise. Boost clocks, they say this is supposed to be, I think it's 28, 25 for both of them. Both of them boosted to like 29, 15 relatively easily with me basically doing nothing. All I did do was I changed the thermal paste because I had to take it apart to get some footage for the B-roll, etc, etc, etc. So when I put it back together, obviously I didn't have the same paste, so I just used some MX5. Maybe that's improved the performance a little bit. I doubt if it has a great deal, but yeah. Temperature-wise, 60 degrees after a full run for ages. Both of them, again, pretty much identical temperatures, so not really a great deal in them at all. Anyway, back to the questions. Markovsky says £180 for a 5600G this week on Hot UK Deals. A great starting chip with half decent graphics. Yep, 5600G, £180. That is the kind of thing we want to see. That now finally makes even more sense than it did before. I think I paid either $225 or $240 for mine, so I'm feeling a little bit stung by that. But it happens. Sometimes things go up, sometimes things go down. Graphics cards clearly have gone up. CPUs, fortunately, are seeming to go down. So that's all good. Oh, why won't this scroll? That is such an annoying thing. Markovsky says the 5700G is better if you can stretch. That's what he's holding out for. Yeah, the 5700G, I don't know, the 5600G and the 5700G, they're both, it depends what you're building them for. If you're planning to use them as an APU, yes, they make a lot of sense. If you're buying them as a stopgap between when you want to get a graphics card, I'm not too sure if that PCI Express Gen 3 x8 bandwidth link is going to be causing the same problems in a couple of years' time when graphics cards go to PCI Express Gen 5 or Gen 4 cards start getting saturated. I don't know, it's a difficult one. Luckily, it isn't a huge amount of money to invest in terms of a processor in the region 180 to 250. Don't get me wrong, it's a lump of money, but it's not kind of Ryzen 7, Ryzen 9 levels, so potentially if it's a mistake, it's not such a big mistake, if you get what I mean. Team Drift Nation video says, if it sells out, this is the GameMax Stealth, because of your review, Mike, I should be very displeased. It might do. I doubt it, but it might do. Of all the GameMax cases that I've ever reviewed, there's two that I would say are my two favourites, and that is the F15, which I absolutely adore, and the Stealth, because the Stealth is basically the F15 but for 30 quid cheaper, which is a very little known case, so it probably will start selling out as soon as we start publicising it a little bit. Nathan Gamble says it also came with a corrupt... Oh, sorry, I got my current GPU RX480 from CX. It had a dodgy fan though, and the screws were stripped, so I can't replace it. Ooh, that doesn't sound good. And he says it also came with a corrupt BIOS, mining BIOS probably. Yeah, flashed it, got it to work. Excellent stuff, Nathan. Christopher says, Mike, the facial hair is cool, mate, and CX is class, but the packing is shocking. Yes, it is. And thank you for the facial hair statement. I personally don't like it. Kath doesn't like it either. But I am the ultimate shill, and our friends over at Pitbull have sent me the Pitbull Platinum Pro, which I'm supposed to be testing. So what I figured I'd do was, all the adverts and reviews I see for the Pitbull, it's always bald guys that don't have a beard, or they don't shave the beard. Or very rarely do they anyway. So I figured, if I have a little bit of a beard, like, this is tough work for any shaver. And considering this is supposed to be like the bees Watsits, I figured I'd give it a proper challenge and by growing this rubbish. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. That's going to be coming up very shortly, so if you're interested in getting yourself a all-in-one shaver for the head, the face and the balls, then the balls probably you might not want to do because I don't think it's got the attachments for that, but yeah, give it a go, eh? What could go wrong? Kath's like, I know what could go wrong.
We've been there before.
We have been there, yeah. Wildlife snappers with us, how you doing?
Scissors are not a good idea.
For anyone who's squeamish, I'm about to tell a story about when I did a damage. Kath's like, oh my god. I was, you know, guys, you're with me on this. Obviously, you know what it's like. You look down at the old, the chap, and he's in a bush down there, and you think, I want to let him out to play a little bit more than he is already. So, some of us have shaved, some of us have waxed. I've done that as well, that worked out badly. But others with us who don't want to go the whole way, you want to go for a little trim with the scissors. Now, don't do what I did and use toenail scissors, the curved ones, in the shower. Because if the water gets in your eyes whilst you're chopping away down there, there's a very, very distinct chance that you may snag your sack.
Again.
Yeah, it's just not a good look. So do yourselves a favour, get a proper shaver and do it the humane way. Anyway, let's move on. Let's get away from that. No, I'm not going to talk about that over that. Oh. Welsh Tony 1 says, wow, I actually caught Mike in a stream. How you doing, Tony? Good evening. Christopher Butt says, I got a 5600G en route from AliExpress, £165. Boom, get in. Want to benchmark that versus various GPUs I've got. Seems like a good idea. The 5600G, I would say, in terms of graphics wise, I don't think it's as good as the 3400G. I think the 3400G just about takes it, but the fact that you've got much stronger CPU cores on there does kind of swing the other side of it in your favour. Prout says, where's the small kitten at? Actually, that's a good question.
She's asleep on the chair waiting to get in the Miniature Heroes box when it's finished.
Oh yeah. Leave her, don't wake her up.
She wants to sit on the
I don't know.
She'll only sleep.
Do you want a divorce? No kiddings for you today. Mike, what's your opinion on the GeForce 970? I liked it, I had one before. That was one of those controversial cards as well because it had 4 gigs of RAM but only 3.5 gigs were actually technically usable. The other kind of half a gig was like some real slow weird stuff. Can't remember exactly, but yeah, I know it was fun. Kieran Atkins says, I bet GameMax are dying to send you some useless crap they're trying to flog. They are. And I've asked them not to. In complete transparency to you guys out there, the viewers, GameMax have said to us, they've offered me a case, a power supply and a cooler. And I've turned them down primarily because I don't feel that some of GameMax's current product range kind of works out for our viewers. I don't know, they just seem to be going in a weird direction and I'm not too sure if I personally like it. And being that the market seems to be led by mesh cases, lots of airflow, etc, etc, and they seem to be going sealed off cases with no airflow, and I can't be bothered with it. I'm not going to try and make a product be appealing to the viewers just because they've sent it to me for free. So rather than even getting into that kind of situation, I just said no. If I see something I like, I'll just go out and buy it, I'll review it. If I like it, I'll tell people I like it. If I don't like it, I'll tell people I don't like it. I don't want to have anyone on my shoulder saying, well, can you do this or can you do that? It's not going to happen. So yeah, GameMax won't be sending me any products for the foreseeable, as far as I can tell, unless I maybe request something. But it's not going to be happening for now. Thanks for the super chat. Who was that? I have to. Ugly Bob, £2 says, wake up. No, don't wake up, Poppy. Bastard, Bob.
You're in a minority again.
I'm always in a minority. I don't follow the crowd. I haven't scrolled enough for this, have I? I haven't caught up with everybody in the chat, have I? Right, I'll just start a game. Oh no, there we go. Tony says it's going to be a long time till I can buy a card. They're crazy money at the moment. They are. They really, really are. Christopher Butt says CX sent me a Ryzen CPU. Was just wrapped in brown paper. Lucky, no bent pins. Yeah, you guys know how I've got on with that. We've had a couple of... weirdly, I had a CPU which came actually in AMD's little plastic pouch, but they managed to put it in round the wrong way, or on an angle, and it bent all the pins. Luckily, Kath, in her wizardness, I can't do it. I can't see close enough to see the pins. I'll end up like just jabbing away at it. So Kath brought that back, so that's good. Team Drift Nation video, Patreon question. Do all packages have access to your posts on there? Yes, all Patreon levels get access to all video content, all post content. I think the lower tier doesn't get a free gift. The upper tiers get a free gift sent out as well, should you wish one. Yeah, not massively high. It's not like we're making a load of money on it. I don't think we're making any money on it, to be honest. Price says, is the RTX 3050 better card for gaming than the 6500 XT? Yes, definitely, 100%. But I was actually thinking about this earlier before I was going up to get ready for the stream. I was walking up the stairs to myself and I was thinking, so one of these at £200 or 6600 XT at £400, being that the 6600 XT is twice as fast, like literally twice as fast. But then I thought to myself, well, actually it's twice the cost. And that is kind of how it works. Or at least normally. In most instances, if you pay double, you often get double. Now, there are obviously outliers to that. If you go from a 3080 to a 3090, you're paying almost double in some instances, but you're not getting double the performance. You're getting maybe 5, 10, 15% performance. But in a lot of walks of life, if you pay double, you get double. So that is actually another reason why this kind of makes sense. It doesn't, I know it does in so many ways, but it doesn't in so many others. It is half the price of the 6600 XT, which is twice as fast. So again, if you consider that this is the next step down the rung, yeah, half the price, half the speed. If you're going to do a linear graph of price versus performance, if that was half as fast as a card half its cost, it's perfect. It really is. You doing a drink?
Yeah.
I better get my cup out. Hang on a second. Oh dear. Right. I'm gonna break off in this second because I got to have a sweet. And luckily, one of our illustrious viewers, actually two of our illustrious viewers this week, sent us some really cool stuff. Now, Ugly Bob sent us the best part of 2 kilos of Cadbury's Heroes. Is it Cadbury's Heroes, Kath? She can't hear, deaf as a post. Cadbury's Heroes, I think it was, 2 kilos, and I've always done those. William Bodie, amongst other things, has sent this stuff. Now, I don't know if you can buy this anywhere else other than Germany, but this is called Tom's Hit Mix. It is some German words I don't understand. Basically, these are miniature, what's the word? Licorice all sorts, but with some other things chucked in there as well. Now there are, I shouldn't start eating these actually because they are addictive as all hell. Inside these, you get things like the mini gems, or they used to call them midget gems. I don't think you're allowed to call it anymore because that's some bad thing. But they got these things which are like the red licorice with some kind of custardy flavour stuff in the middle. Oh, sorry. They are something else. I'm waiting for diabetes to kick in, I really am. Those are awesome. So thank you, William Bodie, for sending those. There's another stuff, another box there now. There's another box there. Pass it over, Kath. Ugly Bob, trying to do one better, sent a 2 kilo box of Cadbury's Heroes, which currently there's only a few left. So if for some reason I do get dreadfully ill with diabetes, William Bodie and Ugly Bob should be the ones that you go knocking on the door to say, why is Mike not making content? Oh, sorry, he's dreadfully ill. Anyway, moving on. Tony says, I love my beard. That is exactly what Tony Blair says. There's some of you out there who will know what I mean by that. Cav's out there, she found it funny. James Mazzini says, I'm eating, don't talk about your scrotum now. Sorry mate, noted, won't do it again. David Thompson, don't wash your groin with Aldi mint shower gel, stings like F. Yes, been there, I've been there. I've very much been there. Welsh Tony says, I have never trimmed that area in my life. Are you going for dreadlocks? It's a good look, apparently. Oh, dear, dear, dear. Right, I'm gonna get some chocolate now, says DVDR. Who said Christmas is over? Exactly. Ugly Bob says, I got it so Poppy could have the box. Yes. I've been good though, I've not been really hammering them.
4 days.
In 4 days I've done 2 kilos, that's probably not great. Not great. Ugly Bob says that he got those chocolates cheap because some mental patient tampered with the box calf.
Oh, cool.
That's fine. You just used the
box?
wrong cup now. I was going to use one of William's cups.
You didn't give it to me entirely. It's probably washed up first.
Sky Stalker says 2 kilos. Holy crap, that is a lot of candy. It is. Tell me about it. I can barely see straight. Oh dear. Anyway, moving on. Dutch Jan says I need a beard. Not like Tony Blair's, you don't. Someone's going to Google that now, aren't they?
Again, you can keep up with these comments now.
Right. Well, Tony says, wow, Mike, I don't even know how to respond to that Tony Blair comment. Good old Tony. He's got an OBE or something as well. Or a knighthood or something. Bless him. You can say anything you want about someone if you say bless them after. So you can cuss someone up completely, then say, oh, bless them. It's absolutely fine. That is a motto you should live your lives by. Tony says, yes, I agree with that, but it's still meant to be a budget card. $249 isn't budget. It is, but it shouldn't be. And historically it hasn't been. But like I was rambling on a little bit earlier, that's where we are now. This is the new normal. It really is. And actually, let me know, show of hands in the comments, did anyone manage to get a 3050 this week? I was trying, most of us guys on the Discord, we're all on there, 2 o'clock on Thursday, was it? Yeah, it was Thursday. It was a Thursday? I'm losing track. Yeah, it was Thursday, I think. Whenever the day was, I don't care. We were trying to get a graphics card, and I think we found one which was like £400 for an RTX 3050, which was a Windforce version. It's like, really? What are you trying to do to me? Not going to happen. So yeah, I think actually David Aiken did have one in his shopping basket for about $329, maybe $350 possibly.
That's in the comments earlier.
He didn't go through with it, and actually I'm kind of glad. I think anything over £300 is going to be a little bit of a kick in the balls. But I suppose what is good for the goose is good for the gander. So if you can pay the extra to get one of these, the 3050 is definitely the better card. It just really comes down to how much better it is in terms of price. It does seem to be round about just underneath the RTX 2060 and just kind of in and around the 1660 and 1660 Super range. So arguably if it's £350, £400, it's kind of in keeping with the rest of the market, but the rest of the market is absolutely effed. So should it or not? I don't know. That is, again, my point. £200 for a graphics card is what I would say probably a good 50% of people buying a PC are comfortable spending on a graphics card. Me personally, £200, maybe £300 if it's something really special, but between the £200 and £300 mark is my maximum line. Ideally, I want to be in the £150 to £200 mark for a graphics card. But clearly, those days of getting what you got previously for that money aren't here anymore. We have to forget that. That is history. You cannot travel in time and say, right, this is what that should cost, because it doesn't. The whole global thing has completely ruined everything that was going on in the world. So we are now stuck with basically reaping what we sowed. This is our problem and we have to deal with it, essentially. UK Vamp says 350 is more than I paid for my RTX 3060. Yeah. Again, it's for comparison, it makes a lot of sense. Going forward, this is it. This is what we're dealing with right now. Fred Brown says, Mike, sold all my card and good money and got a 6600 XT. Nice one. Good for you, buddy. Cool Dude says, I have an RX580, still waiting to upgrade. Pelperson's with us. How you doing, Pelperson? Team Drift Nation video, the buying power for our money has clearly gone down. Yes. And it's not just in this industry. It's in lots and lots of different industries. Go to buy some milk. Go and buy some beef. Just go to the shops. Go and buy some food.
Sliced ham.
Sliced ham is hella expensive. Now, to be fair, we do get some free-range gourmet shit from our local butcher. So it's good stuff. But 8 slices of ham, and it was like
12 quid.
£12.
We do have it thick.
It's thick sliced, let's be fair. It is like, actually, I'm going to have to look at the measure. I would say
About half a centimetre.
they're good 3, maybe 4 mil slices. So they're proper, they're like, almost like gammon steaks, to be fair. Especially if you're buying cheap shit from Happy Eater or something. But, yeah. Anyway, everything's getting more expensive.
None of that turkey ham.
No, no turkey ham. Pirate says, I think the other problem is the shortage for chips. Yeah, exactly. Mark Lewin, you, my friend, are bang on the money right there. He says, if that's how it performs, a used 1070 makes more sense. And here, ladies and gentlemen, is one I prepared earlier, he says, grabbing under the magical table of doom. So I was lucky that there's a guy locally to us who actually strips down ex-business PCs. And you've all seen this before, I know. But EVGA's 1070, 8 gig. He's selling these at the moment, or has been selling these for £200 a pop. So when you go, clearly, this is what you're looking at buying, because this is a considerably more powerful card. It draws considerably more power and is actually probably twice the weight physically as well, but it is the better card. Is it the better value? Who knows? If it lasts for a couple of years, then clearly it is. If it doesn't, well, that's one of those things. But yeah, the 1070, I've said it before and I'll say it again, the 1070 is the best value card on the new, when it was new. And now it's used, it's also the best value if you can get one at that sort of price. That is the whole thing. Can you get them for that price? It's not always possible. That is a little bit too hot, so I'm not going to drink that right now.
While you're waiting for it to cool, Captain Meat wondered what your thoughts are on a good ham shank.
They're probably too expensive. Old Man Withers says, nope, tried to get a 3050 all day, failed hard, bought the 6500 XT. To be honest with you, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised by the 5600 XT. I was expecting it to be an absolute crock of shit, if I'm honest with you. And I put it in the PC and I'm thinking to myself all the time, this ain't going to be good, is it? And fired up a few games, played some games as well. So I'm not just doing benchmark runs. Because doing benchmarks are one thing. This is another thing I come down to why I don't like doing benchmarks. Because you can do a benchmark on 15 different things. And you can say, right, that one gets the lowest score, that one gets the best score. But it isn't always about that. It's also about how the games feel. Now, I've said this before, you can have a graphics card, and actually this is something I find with the 1070. This is actually a good analogy or kind of comparison. The GTX 1070 running, oh God, what was the benchmark? Unigine Heaven. Now that card was actually designed in and around the time of Unigine Heaven was out, which, yeah, is perfect sense, but you do find you get massively high frame rates in comparison with this, but you get some really, really low lows. One thing I was finding a lot, and maybe if you look back at some of the other reviewers and see what they've found as well, the actual stuttering and the 1% lows and stuff on this card don't seem to be very bad. The performance isn't great, but you don't get those massive peaks and then those lows. You just get this kind of meandering up and down where it's kind of really balanced. And because it's really balanced, it feels really smooth. Now, I know that's potentially me just kind of willing this card to do well, but generally it did feel very smooth in gameplay. And hopefully some of you, as you start buying these and reporting back your findings, I know the two things you're going to say. You're going to say, Mike, it isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And B, you're going to say, it actually feels pretty smooth. And it genuinely does. And that goes for both cards. They both performed pretty much identically. They both felt very, very smooth. And actually, for me personally, I'd prefer a nice, smooth gaming experience than I would just being able to say, I've got 200 frames per second. Because it's just a meaningless number. Actually enjoying playing a game is why you're spending money, clearly. Or maybe you're not. Maybe you just spending loads of money on a graphics card because you want to be the king of the pile and say, I've got a better benchmark than you. In which case, you're very shallow and should stop. Moving on. Who else was this? Blake. Mike P says, hi Mike and Kath. If I hadn't given away my Ryzen 3600 and bought a 5700G, I might have thought about buying one, but not now with the bandwidth limitation on PCI, on Gen 3 PCI Express. I'm actually gonna be testing that because I have been testing this on my system behind me, which is a Ryzen 5 3600, and it has a B550 motherboard. I am going to put in my 5600G and rerun some of the same tests and see what it gets. I know what it's going to do. It's obviously the bandwidth is going to be limited, and there's going to be some games which are going to get hammered. There's going to be some games which it doesn't affect at all, which we've seen in the benchmarks already. But I don't know, realistically, 5-10%. Are you likely to notice it too much? Even at 60 FPS, 10% is still only like 54 frames per second against 60. Would you even notice it? I don't think so, personally. Kath, eat some, because I'm going to eat them all. They're good, aren't they?
They are really good.
I think I have got a sugar addiction.
Do they do sugar anonymous?
Cosmic Space Muffin says the RX6500XT is RX 5800 performance half a decade later. It is, completely. But it also runs on almost less than half the power and runs considerably cooler. So there are some kind of performance upgrades. Performance in, well, bandwidth, obviously. They've managed to cram the same amount of bandwidth in a 64-bit bus that they did on, what, 100 and... Was it 128 bus, or was it a one... Or it might even be in a 256-bit bus. I can't remember if it was or not. But yeah, they managed to squeeze basically 5800X RX580 performance in half, in the same price point effectively, which isn't great. It's not brilliant. There we go, David Aitken, straight from the horse's mouth. I must admit, when I saw you playing Cyberpunk with it at 40 FPS, it looked far smoother than I expected. It does. 40 frames per second and 30 frames per second, normally, for me, I would think that's going to be absolute stutter vision. But it doesn't seem to be. It seems to be really, really smooth. And actually, another thing I noticed as well, and I did say this in the review also, there does appear to be something they've done to it in terms of image sharpening. It does seem, like I went from on there, it was my 2060, which I was running, against that. And as soon as I put it in and fired up a game, I was like, And it just seemed like everything was more defined, which I know is impossible really, but it did appear to look sharper. I don't know. Yes, Gav?
Ugly Bob says Iceland, I do ambrosia custard ice cream.
Oh my days. Ugly Bob.
Tell him about the addiction we had to Cadbury cream egg ice cream. We were on like a pot a day, weren't we? Each.
Yeah, we did actually have a bit of an addiction to Cadbury's cream egg ice cream.
That's until it went to regular
Because they were
price.
selling it for, was it like 50p a pot?
No, it was a pound.
It was less than that, I'm sure it was.
No, it was.
Was it a pound?
It
No.
was like
It was a pound a pot for like the Haagen-Dazs style tubs. And we were doing one of those a day, easy. Each, yeah. I don't know why we put on weight during lockdown.
it was before lockdown.
Oh dear. Oh, cheers Mike, no worries. Thomas says you don't need to change CPU, just change the settings in BIOS, it'll be easier. It kind of will, but it won't, because you're going to get your performance improvements on the architecture of the 5000 series against the 3000 series, which I'm kind of guessing is going to make up some of that ground in between it. I'm thinking that's likely to happen. If I tested the 5600X versus the G, potentially then yes, I could have just changed the BIOS, but being it's a 3600, there's obviously going to be an IPC improvement between the 3600 and the 5600, so kind of taking that into account as well. That's why mums go to Iceland. Exactly, Mark.
Yeah, but they do as well.
They deliver.
No, yeah, but also they do Angel Delight ice cream.
Angel Delight ice cream as well?
Apparently.
Sweet baby Jesus.
Luckily we ain't got room in the freezer, so we can
Yeah, our freezer's full up, so it won't happen.
of vegetables.
Ice cream is the best. No more sugar. You won't be able to sleep. Right. Yeah, she's talking about Willy Wonka. We are. I'm going to quickly go through. I want to show you guys what William Bodie sent us. Because I quite often we get sent stuff, and it's not that I forget about it. It's just that we literally, from the moment I get up in the morning, I'm answering questions on YouTube. My entire day is devoted to this channel. And eating, obviously sugar. Sugar and this channel is basically all I do in my life. Oh, I probably pee and poo. That's about it. Sleep, answer questions, make videos, eat sugar, pee and poop. Sometimes at the same time. Anyway.
Worth mentioning the sharpening feature. Sorry, filter.
Sharpening filter. That's, yeah, it does seem to be sharper.
David Aiken.
Oh, Christ almighty. There we go. So this is... Ain't got my address on it, has it? No, that's good.
You might on this end.
I know, it's on here. I can see
It's
it.
not even our address.
Oh, that's true. So this was sent by... Actually, I'm going to put it back on the deck there, and I'll get these out bit by bit. Now, obviously, he knows we've got a sweet tooth. So first of all, we got some biscotti biscuits, and I've deliberately left the sellotape on them because I know if I open those, they're going to be gone in an hour. That is going to be my sit down and answer some questions tin of biscuits. Sat down, I'll be like, oh, Kath, there's lots of YouTube questions today. That is what's going to happen there. So those are awesome. We have also got...
William's just there for me.
Oh, there for calf. Oh, bollocks to you then. We got multiple bottles of the curry sauce. This stuff, I know, you've probably seen the posts on it. If you haven't tried it, seriously, get on Amazon and order yourself some. Affiliate links in the video description. This is definitely the best curry sauce I've ever tasted in my life. It's a very sweet curry sauce. If you like Indian curry sauce rather than Chinese curry sauce, it's got that Indian vibe to it, but it's also got tons and tons of cinnamon and stuff in it, so it's really nice and sweet. It is the absolute dogs. Amazing with chips, amazing with pizza. This is how I put on so much weight. Thank you, William. Thank you. So that's awesome stuff. Make sure you get some of that. We've got some lagers. So we got some 10% fax. And after drinking 10% fax, I think I'd be completely faxed. Faxed to the eyeballs. That's going to have to wait till summer so I can actually lie in the garden and watch the world spin, even though it's not. That looks deadly. It's even in a black can. It's like, all this needs is like a tuxedo and a pallbearer. That looks pretty evil stuff. That is a litre can. You guys over there don't F about, do you? That is like, that's the proper deal. And it's got the can ring on, so literally, you can imagine there's like Germans walking around in Germany, because Germans in Germany, drinking these absolutely off their trolleys. I'm actually nervous about that. But to wash it down, luckily, we've got some white fax. This is the premium. This is only 5%, so that's fine. I like what they've done there with the branding. So we've got good and bad. So this is the bad one, which is going to make you absolutely paralytic. And then you've got the white one, which is like the good side, which is just going to get you mildly pissed. Excellent stuff. Thank you very much. And of course, we have the Tuborg Wien Schnacked Pilsner.
What he sent is Danish.
It's Danish, is it? I don't know Danish either, or German much, even though I told a lot of people I did pass my German GCSEs, which I didn't turn up for.
You didn't. You said you spoke fluent German.
Oh yeah, I did, yeah.
And French.
I exaggerated it a little bit.
But it's only on your CV.
So we got some other, what percentage is that? I think that's a 4.9. That's more in my my ability range. So that is the beers. Something which Kath actually has got her eyes on already.
Oh yeah, I want that one.
The tea set. So this is for making herbal teas and stuff. We actually do drink a lot of herbal tea and various concoctions like that. So that is absolutely brilliant. Kath is going to be... We actually drink nettle tea. Well, in our backyard, well, not our backyard, but in the back lane, there's loads and loads of nettles, and Kath quite often will go out with the kids, go and pick a load of nettles, and we'll have some nettle tea. It's very, very good for you, nettle tea.
When you say kids, you mean cats?
Kids and cats, yeah. Nettle tea. Grab yourself a load of nettles, wear gloves, because otherwise you get stung to buggery. But get some nettles, make some nettle tea. It's extremely good for you, and it's very high in vitamin C, isn't it? Is it vitamin C? Yeah, vitamin C. See, I do know some stuff. So we've got that. Got some mugs as well. Can never have enough mugs. I'm looking at Kath's face because she's the one who's got to find a home for them all. So we've got a ping me, scan me, give me dirty host names. Oh dear, I like that. I might even take that into the shop with me when I go to work tomorrow and see what the customers think of that.
Is that the one that changes colour?
No. No, we've got the colour changing one. So we have got the Fallout heat change mug. I actually don't really want to open...
His neighbour smokes herbal tea leaves.
We used to smoke herbal tea leaves. So we've got the heat change Fallout 4 mug. That's pretty cool. Well, it says Fallout. Alright, if I spill it, you're going to have to clean it.
I'm not going to clean it, I'll give you a cloth.
Oh, this is not going to end well, is it? Oh. Oh, I've nearly reached the brim. Right, let's see that change colour. Which bit's changing colour? Where am I looking? Oh, I guess it's on the back. Let's see if that changes colour. Where does it change colour? Help me out.
You sure it says changing colour on that one?
It says something about changing colour, I'm sure it did.
I thought it said it on the other one.
Yeah, heat change mug. So full, right, yeah. The what's it called? The scenery. Scenery comes on. I think that tea might have been a bit cold actually. Oh, we'll see. It might develop. It's a late developer. Kieran says, God damn, I love Fallout. I actually did enjoy Fallout 4. Me and Kath used to get properly mashed up, go in the other room and play it on the big telly.
We didn't get mashed up.
Did we not?
No, we had given it up by then.
Had we? What would we do? Just eat loads of chocolate, I expect.
No, those hobnobs I used to make.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, we used to have hobnob. Right, let's clear this out the way, because otherwise I'm going to start drinking stuff.
Haagen-Dazs sandwiches with them.
Oh yeah, Haagen-Dazs sandwiches with biscuits. Oh my God. How am I actually still alive? I do wonder at times.
Thank you, William.
Thank you, William. I think I did send a message. I did post on the community tab as well. It's been, we've had a bit of a traumatic week this week, so you have to forgive my, my manners. I am only a human being after all, despite what it says in the toilets. Also,
That too.
I've mopped up most of it.
Blake's getting annoyed with you.
Sorry, Blake. Oh.
Mop it up by covering it up. Do you want another?
La la la, I can't see it, there's nothing to see here. I'm going to keep that box. I might put it back in the box and save it for an heirloom for the kids. Like they'll have that. I made a right mess there.
No sex toys.
Also, he sent us this. This is Work Zone. Actually, Work Zone, that is... I've seen that brand over here. Work Zone, isn't that...
Is that Aldi?
Yeah, is that Aldi or Lidl? One of the two. It's got a little precision bit set. These are actually really handy, because I always end up losing at least one bit, and then it's like, oh, you bastard. In fact, actually, a friend of ours, or ex-colleague, came round to do some work on the car and lost some bits on one of my other sets, and that, oh, I hate it when it happens. That's pretty cool. Got a nice little bit set there, loads of bits, so we've got some Torx in there, we've got some flatheads, we've got some crossheads. That's like laptop takey party stuff, that is. Is that magnetic? Oh yeah. Got some, I think we've got some magnetic action going on there. Yeah. Definitely magnetic, can you hear that? Happy days. Thank you very much. That's one thing you can definitely say for blokes and potentially ladies, if you're into your mechanical stuff. What am I looking at?
It's Aldi.
It's Aldi. All right, Work Zone is Aldi. Thank you. Oh yeah, Kath also, that's one. I wonder what you were hinting at. If you want to bargains and stuff from Aldi, you can head over to our Shop Smart site on Facebook, and also the videos on YouTube. So if you look at our suggested channels, it'll come up with that. And yeah, some absolutely brilliant deals. So also we have got this, an instruction manual. Einhill. So this is a battery powered screwdriver. Basically similar kind of deal as this, but battery powered. Ooh. No batteries, so we need some batteries, Kath, please.
What ones?
It looks like 2 AA's, I think. Yeah. Oh no, sorry, AAA's, my mistake. They got a QR code on there. Yeah, 2 times 1.5 volt LR03, which is AAA. Thanking you. Not sure which way around they go, but it's not the end of the world, is it? Oh, awesome. Right, let's get a bit. Oh, also magnetic, but also slightly locking as well. And some bright LEDs. That is actually pretty decent. Oh, it's got some torque to it as well. But not too much to damage stuff, which is handy. And actually, that's got the tri-wing on there, which is useful. So, like I said, you can never have enough of these things. So that's bloody good. Thank you very much. How did that go in there? I suppose I need the instructions. I know how to use a bloody screwdriver. Well, you'd think so. Yeah, that was it, wasn't it? Stealing Kath's biscuits. Don't tell her. I've got to pack all this away because otherwise I forget.
Einhell paper.
Look under. What am I looking for?
The Einhell paper.
That's the Einhell paper?
Is it?
Yeah.
In the box.
Ah. Oh, so it's a secret secret compartment for storing batteries. Sorry, Kath. Can't take me anywhere. That's actually a really handy place to put the batteries. Why not even think about that? Damn fool. I lost a finger there.
Why don't you keep the ones in the box for spares?
Right, let's put this away before I lose any bits. Oh, I nearly lost the end. Thank you very much, William. That is awesome. Just means I'm going to have to actually use them to do work. But was that on? That must be on the back. I suppose I don't need that anymore, do I? Oh, actually, that'll hold them in. Absolutely perfect. Right. Actually, I should put those somewhere easy to get. I'll have to put another thing in the wall. Right. Put those up there. I'll do that tomorrow. Right, back.
Where does that come from?
What, the Einhell? I'm not too sure. Where did the Einhell set come from? Someone asked. Matthew takes it. Don't start another set. Okay. Right, I need to put that back. Right, anyway, moving on. Did that change colour? I don't think that tea's warm enough. Oh, actually, yeah, it is. Oh, no, it's not. No, the tea wasn't. It needs to be boiling hot. Cheers, everybody. Cheers. Right, let's get back into the graphics card. Actually, before I get into the graphics cards, let's show you what some of the performance is actually like. Because, let me see, I've got some footage here from my NAS which I can show you. So, right, Wreckfest. Wreckfest is one of those games which actually is really graphically intense. Now, I was playing this at 1080p on high, I believe it was. Let me have a quick look. 1080p quality preset was on high. So, is that going to load? I wonder if that's copyrighted. Yeah, it probably is. Right, so if I full screen that, And desktop. Yay! That's why Mum's Go to Iceland still on there. So hopefully, can you still hear me? Yeah, you can. Yeah, I can see my microphone moving. So that is the performance levels there. You can see on the right hand side, you've got all the graphs and performance. You can see what's going on. At the very beginning, it did tank pretty hard, down to like something like 25 frames per second or something stupid. But as you can see, look at the screen really carefully. That to me looks extremely sharp. I'm not too sure if the stream is doing it justice or not. It may be, it may not. But to me, actually, that looks incredibly detailed. So that's 1080p, 60 FPS, high settings on Wreckfest. And anyone who's played Wreckfest will know that it does actually punish graphics cards pretty hard. Now you can see the VRAM utilization there is it's 4.26, well, 4026 megabytes. So just over the 4 gig limit. I think we can push these cards to somewhere around the 40, 50 limit. This is like right on the edge. But actually it seems to be running pretty well. So 60 frames per second pretty much constantly. It's dipped down a little bit there to 50s, just below 49 there. But it's not a stutterfest. It's actually not very laggy at all. And if there is any lag in it, it will be more because of the way that I recorded it in OBS rather than the fact of the game actually sucking. So what's that, 48, 54, 56, 57. And you can see the wattage on there, GPU power sucking a meager 60 watts right there. 60 watts for the GPU. How insane is that? And the GPU clock, as you can see there, is boosting to 2909 when really the card is only supposed to get up to 2825. So almost best part of 100 megahertz over the intended highest boost clock. The game clock is normally about 2600, so it does appear to be performing better than it is meant to. Again, it could be down to the way that I repasted the card to give it a little bit more headroom, but still, it's a relatively constant between 50 and 60 FPS, 1080p high settings on Wreckfest, which I think actually is pretty impressive. Back to you, Mike. Hi. Yeah, that is working. So what do you think? I actually couldn't see the chat while that was on because it's on full screen on my monitor. I can't see anything else. So let's see what your thoughts were on that. Einhal. So yeah, not many comments in there at all. Has the stream gone dead, or has everyone just gone home? Come on, be honest. What do you think of the performance? 60 frames per second, roughly, give or take. 1080p high settings on Wreckfest. Come on, that is pretty impressive.
How much was the card?
The card was, that one I think was 179, because that footage is from the Asus Dual. That one there. Actually, let's take the card out. Stuart Cleary says looks great. Skystalker says I think it looked great. Thank you very much, guys. No caps or no cap, whatever that is. Says it's K, but it should be £150. It should be £150, but like I said earlier, we're not living in that world anymore. This is the new normal, which I hate saying that phrase, but
New abnormal.
it's the new abnormal. Yeah, it's things that were are no longer. And actually, this is I think is a very sexy card. It's a very nice, stealthy black, matte black finish. Got those axial fans, which actually is very similar to the ones on the new Arctic fans, where they've got the bit around the outside edge to funnel the air. Not a bad looking card at all. There is, weirdly, a tiny hint of RGB in this corner, but you can't change it. It's literally on pink and blue, and that's it. You can't change it at all. At least I can't find a way of changing it. I could be completely wrong, but yeah. I just realised I left those tabs on there. Oh well. So yeah, it's actually a nice little card. Again, 1080p, high settings on a game like Wreckfest, 60 frames per second, absolutely playable. You can play it higher than that if you wanted to. Oh, that's where the fans plug in. Didn't look at that very carefully before. So yeah, nice looking card. I like it. Let's put it on the overhead. There you go. You can see it. You can also see the cups of tea. What a great shot that is. Look at it. That's a proper PC shot, isn't it? Screwdrivers, graphics cards, and cups of tea. That's the way.
Batteries.
And some batteries, yeah. The way it should be. John Sullivan says, but you need PCI Express 4 motherboard to get the most out of it because of X4. To get the most out of it, you do, but it still will work with PCI Express Gen 3 x 16. It's just, it's not going to be as good. And from what we've seen, it's on average kind of single-digit figure performance drops, which isn't huge. And you can buy it. Markovsky says your tea leaves say you're coming into money. I don't think so. I've been buying too many bloody graphics cards. I got to pay for these things somehow. It's they say it's tough at the top, but it's even worse at the bottom. Trust me. Rick H says not too shabby, Mike. Thank you, Rick. Cool Dude says honestly the card is performing pretty well for just a 4 gig card. It's just a bit overpriced. It is overpriced, but I genuinely believe in a couple of months or a couple of years time we'll look back on this being the golden era, because I don't think things are going to get inherently better anytime soon. I think this is it. This is what the PC industry is going to be and the chip market is going to be, unless something extremely drastic happens globally. This is where we're going to be for a while. We're kind of in that depression stage where we're trying to make up for the last 2 years. And it ain't going to be easy. It's going to be a hard slog. And everyone's going to be trying to make money. And if there's a market and people need graphics cards and need chips, we're going to be the ones who pay for it, unfortunately. Asus should sponsor you. Thank you. That's very kind, but I don't think they even know who I am. I wouldn't blame them. Ugly Bob says exactly what my kind of whole point is. You can buy it and it's available. It's not gonna break the bank as much as what another graphics card would do comparatively. Again, all the other graphics cards, the 3050, realistically, no one's gonna get one for MSRP, are they? That's extremely unlikely. Most people are gonna be paying, I envisage 350 to 400. And if it's a Strix model, it's probably going to be 500, which clearly it isn't worth that. And even the fact it is going to be considerably faster, I don't feel that it's worth it. If you have a need and you want to play 4K stuff or whatever, then yeah, maybe. But I don't see this as being a totally bad thing. I think it's a great thing that people can actually buy a graphics card and play video games on their computer without having to spend their kind of birthday, Christmas and next year's birthday money all on a graphics card, and then spend the next 18 to 24 months thinking, God, my birthday's come in and I owe it all to my mum and dad because I've just bought a ridiculously expensive graphics card which is only giving me about 15 frames per second more than the one I could have got for half the price. Which is where we're at. Reese Reed, you've made an absolutely perfect point. I actually completely agree with you, but it isn't possible. So Reese, for those of you that are listening to this and not watching the screen, Reese says, we are allowing it to be the new normal by making excuses for it and buying it. Don't buy it and it will be the new normal, and it won't be the new normal. There will never be enough people to not buy something for it to not become the new normal. As we've seen with the scalper market, graphics cards selling for 2, even 3 times their retail value shows us all that however strongly you feel about something in terms of I'm not going to buy something because it doesn't make sense, it makes no odds, because there's going to be people out there that will spend ridiculous amounts of money on a product which the rest of us were going to leave, and the companies are still going to be making profits. So ultimately, the only people it actually hurts is us, because we're basically cutting off our nose to spite our face. I totally agree with having principles and not buying something because it's overpriced. But
as that one is available, will that go up in price because more people will buy it and it will go over that price?
That is a good question. Whether or not the 6500 XT has been seen on sites for a lot more. And in fact, people are scalping these already, which is stupid because you can buy them in most retail stores. So people scalping them they're scalping them for scalping's sake. And if you fall for that, then you should have done more due diligence and looked around. You kind of got yourself to blame for that. But yeah, I agree. We shouldn't really be spending it, but again, it comes back to the thing. I've got a graphics card, so it doesn't make much difference. But if I'm Johnny down the road who's just having his first gaming PC because he desperately wants to play Fortnite because all his mates are playing Fortnite online and he's the only one who isn't, and they're going off on their own little social niche, and Johnny is like, Mum, please, can you get me a computer? Sorry, Johnny, I can't afford that because the mofos are way too expensive. But, Mum, there's a 6500 XT on the shelf for under £200. Please. Johnny's mum looks and says, well, £200, that's better than £400. Maybe we can do it in this budget this month. And the card gets bought. Johnny gets to play with his friends. He rejoins his social circle. Everyone is happy. Well, apart from Johnny in a couple of years' time when he won't play the latest games. But you know what I'm trying to say here? It's not great. It isn't great. And I carefully, when I did the video, I carefully decided that I was going to put in the title that it's a good thing. I'm not saying it's a great thing, because there's a very big difference, and you do have to look at the words and the wording and not just make up what you think that wording means, which a lot of people do these days. I'm not saying it's great. I'm not saying like, wow, this is the best graphics card for £200 I've ever seen, because clearly it isn't. And if I said that to you, you know I'd be lying. But in the current scheme of things, when there's basically F all available on the market at a sensible price, this is available, you can buy it, it's brand new, it's got a warranty, it's not ridiculously expensive, it's not brilliant, it's not a good deal, but it's available and you can play games on it, and the games actually don't play too bad. So as long as you're aware of the downsides and you don't expect too much from it, then it's fine. It does what it's intended to do. And it has done what AMD needed it to do and what we needed it to do. It needed something to plug a part in the market of the RX 570, RX 580, the 1060 3 gig, the 1050 Ti's, all those kinds of cards, those entry-level-ish cards, which you just can't buy or you can only buy secondhand for stupid prices. It does what those were doing. Yes, it's not a great price, but comparatively with secondhand options, it ain't that bad. And if you look at what you could have bought, yeah, you could have bought just under 18 months ago, you could have bought a RTX 2060 KO for £269. And I know this because I bought one. And that absolutely annihilates that card in every single aspect. But that's 18 months ago. We can't travel in time. It would be lovely to be able to.
I don't like to pay more than £2.50 for a block of cheese.
Yeah. Kath gets upset paying more than £2.50 for a block of cheese, which now costs, what, £5?
Doesn't, I still won't pay £2.50.
So she won't buy it. So we don't have no cheese. Please donate your cheese to the email address below.
I have a set thing in my head,
but yeah,
I did put it up.
It is what it is.
In about 5 years.
DCAT says, no, unless you're desperate, stay away. It's a rip-off. It isn't a rip-off. DCAT, you can't, it's not a rip-off. Who is getting ripped off? If you look at the bill of parts for what the components are, how much they individually cost, you look at the recommended retail price, who's getting ripped off? It's basically the same profit margin, maybe even less than previous generations because of the state of the world. So no one's getting ripped off, and the fact that reviewers and people like myself are telling you about the card, its pros and its cons, if you're buying one at retail for what they're supposed to go for, no one's being ripped off. It's not as good a deal as you'd have had 2 years ago, but like I said, this ain't 2 years ago. This is the new shitty life that we have. and the shitty graphics cards and the shitty prices. This is it. So you're not being ripped off. Again, I come back to what I said earlier. The 6600 XT is twice the price, exactly, almost to the penny, and twice the performance. So how is this ripping off anybody? I'm not picking on DCAT, but I think saying that people are getting ripped off by this is, at best, disingenuous.
But next year it will be practically worthless.
I'm not a time traveller. Someone just said that next year it'll be kind of worthless.
It's DCAT again.
It might be. But unless you've been to the future and you know that, you're speculating. And if you give people advice saying that this is going to be worthless next year, and next year prices have doubled again, you look a bit stupid.
You missed Stuart.
Stuart, sorry, I was getting a bit involved there.
Wow.
Stuart Cleary, bang on there, Mike. Great value card. Thank you. I'm not trying to prove anybody wrong or right. I'm just saying that the media and the tech industry has become very, very snobby, and also become very easily kind of swayed into that whole kind of offended, wokeist nature where everyone's like, oh God, that's really offending me because they've called it this name. It's like, get over it, it's just a name. Ramcam. Ramcam says, I wouldn't buy it for £100. He has been paid to defend this piece of rubbish. Don't trust his advice. Right, first of all, Ramcam, don't know who you are because I've never seen you on the channel before, but if you were actually opening your ear holes and listened, you will know that I paid, this is the CCL one, I paid £229 from CCL, which if you want to, I can bring up the receipts. Also, on the other hand, this one Bob bought for £179.99, which I bought another one of these exactly the same for the same price, and he offered to change them for me. So that is my own money. These are my own words. I am not being paid to say it. And the fact that you've just come on here being a complete unknown and said that means that clearly your advice is no use whatsoever. So either open your ears and listen to what is being said, or jog on. Thank you very much. Next one. Dave Aiken, you're only being ripped off if you're paying significantly over MSRP. The Gigabyte 6500 XT model sells on overclockers for 300 quid. Yeah, that was insane. That was absolutely insane. DCAT says, only if you're desperate. People are. People are desperate. And actually, like, I showed you the foot. Actually, let's bring up another one.
It's almost $300 including shipping in the US.
That seems a bit much.
Somebody else, I don't know if that was DCAT said that. Somebody else, I think, said $299 on
Right.
Amazon.
Let's look at another piece of footage here. So this is, let's go to, let me rewind that.
Remember the days when 60 FPS was high and 30 FPS was pushing.
Yeah, I do. If I can pause that there, where are we? Desktop. Ah, there we go. Oh, sorry, DCAT's fixed on there. So here are, this is Cyberpunk. So this is 1080p. This is with the quick preset set to medium, texture quality set to high. And let's go through there. I didn't want to see all the loading screens. And let's hit play there. So this again, this is recorded from my PC. The PC which actually is sat behind me, so it's a Ryzen 5 3600. And this time this was with, I believe...
Didn't get that. Could you try again?
No, sorry Siri, go away. Oh, go away. Yeah, this is with the Pulse card. So this again, Cyberpunk 1080p with the medium preset with high textures and FPS counter in both the top left and also the top right. And we're swinging between the kind of mid to high 40s into the low 50s. GPU clock is again boosting over and above what the recommended kind of ratings are. It should be 2825 and it's actually 2893. And relatively consistent as well, the straight line there. So there's no dips and bumps really, at least not ones I can see. Dipping down into some of the lower 40s here with some action stuff going on. But it looks really good. Look at the textures, look at the detail. This is Cyberpunk, which is not an easy game to run. Not an easy game to play, to be honest with you, but you get the idea. I'm not very good at it as well. You probably recognise this already. So this is in the city. We've got loads of light effects. Ray tracing obviously isn't on, because we wouldn't be getting anywhere near that kind of level of performance with ray tracing on. It would die. And really, putting ray tracing on this kind of game, on this title, is kind of a bit lunacy. This bit here I particularly like. Look at the detail of the floor, the textures. It just looks amazing. It really does. I didn't realise how much detail was in it. I had to actually look at the floor and think, what the hell? That is actually like ridiculously detailed. So again, it's 1080p. This is medium quality settings, but it looks really, really sharp. It looks like there's a lot of anti-aliasing going on there. There's a few little jaggies on there. But overall, the reflections, the lighting, I think it all looks really, really good. Again, look at this point. We're at almost 60 FPS. We dropped back down again when we got on the bike to about 45. The shadows are all messed up there, but Cyberpunk is probably not the best game to be looking at in terms of not having bugs. But there we go, riding a bike through the streets in Cyberpunk, and we're hitting 40 FPS.
Got your slicks on.
And slightly over. And it looks good. It doesn't feel laggy, or you can look at the FPS counter at the top there. It's a straight line. It's dropping down a bit. We went down to 35, I think, just now. But still, this kind of console level gameplay. Oh, this was a good one. There's a weird bug there where the bike just stopped for no obvious reason. Anyway, there you go. There is some footage from Cyberpunk game. Medium settings, high textures, 45 to 60 frames per second on average. You can't really argue with it for the money. Well, you can if you want to, but there's no point because no one's going to listen. So, let's see. Skystalker says, this is RTX on. No RTX on there. DCAT says 40 FPS, come on. It's not high numbers, but it's the thing. Depending on what you're playing and what you're doing. Sorry?
What would an APU be?
Yeah, if it was an APU, it'd be probably 20, maybe 30 if you were lucky at lower settings. So it's a much better option than APU, I think, personally. If you've got the ability to put if you've got the ability to put one of these into a system. If you're spending, I don't know, I did actually do this recently. I've got 4 systems that I've priced up based on different configurations with this card and with APUs and with used parts. And they all basically come out to roughly the same sort of money. There's not a great deal either way. Dave Aitken says, weird how Fidelity FX did bugger all with this game. Yeah, it was really weird. I switched on, that footage there was recorded before David came round. But when he came round, we actually did it. We put Fidelity FX on, and for some reason, it made no difference whatsoever. So I think there's something to do with the drivers. There's still early drivers for this card at the moment. Things actually might improve a little bit. I can't imagine they will do massively, but there's room for improvement. God knows there's room for improvement. Domas says, love the example with little Johnny. If this card stays in the £200 region, and with these times, yeah, the times we're in, it is a good option for those parents who just, kids want to play Fortnite, Valorant, etc. It is. And that is my whole point. Yes, it's not a powerful card in modern terms. But, again, it's comparative. What we had 2 years ago, even last year, 3, 4, 5, 10 years ago, are irrelevant as from kind of this point onwards, really, because we can't go back to the way things were, at least not yet. This is what we have to deal with, this is what we've got, and there's way too many people crying over this, oh, it's poor performance. Yeah, comparatively. Oh, it's too expensive. Yes, comparatively. Everything is comparable. And we're not time travelers. We can't go back. All we can do is reminisce on how good things were. But this is what it is. Imagine what it would have been like if you were in the 70s and you were actually living through a proper recession, which a lot of people in our country did. And it was bad. Things got mental. Look at some of the countries around the world where they end up wheeling an entire bucket of money to buy a loaf of bread. Yeah, sure, they're not happy with it, but I'm sure they'd rather shell out an absolute ton of cash and actually eat. If you're thirsty and there's nowhere to get a drink, do you go and buy a bottle of bottled water? Yes, because you're thirsty and you need a drink. There's no real difference. The analogy is the same. If you need a graphics card, yes, it's not ideal. You can't just turn on the tap and get free water or a cheap graphics card. You have to pay for the privilege of having a graphics card. And this is what it is at this end of the market. If there was something else at this end of the market to compare it with, I would say, well, yeah, it's either a good or a bad thing, but we don't have the ability to have something else in exactly the same price point that will compare. So I just looked over at my screen and my screen's woke up and I can just see all the comments just scrolling like crazy. Let's see, David Aitken, what did he say? At least the card being available for £200 that beats the RX570 will help drive down the used market. Hoping to see GTX 1650s and RX 400s, 500s selling used for closer to 120, 150. Yes, hopefully that will be the case. I did have a look earlier, like I said, on eBay, and RX 580s still 200, 250, 300 pounds for a used card. In which case, this kind of probably makes more sense, especially if you don't know who it is. If you're buying it from a friend or a relative or someone you know or trust, then yeah, used cards are fine. Or if you're buying it from someone like CEX with your actual proper warranty, it's cool. eBay to some extent, yeah, because you'll get the buyer support from PayPal, hopefully. Normally they do tend to go on the side of the buyer rather than the seller, so potentially you could have a little bit of comeback from that. But yes, it is what it is. Mark Barry, well done. Zimbabwe, yeah, Zimbabwe, money was worthless, absolutely worthless. You could literally have millions of, I'm not even sure what their currency was at the time, but you could have basically a wheelbarrow full of money and you couldn't buy hardly anything. And I'm sure that happened in one of the European countries, like Switzerland or Sweden or somewhere around there, and not that long ago. Cool Dude says the 3050 is better, but it's already going for close to double the price. Yeah, exactly. That was my analogy earlier. If you look at a line graph and you get performance to price, it's going to kind of skate along, and it's going to be, you pay more, you get more.
And can we get them?
No, not really, hopefully. Mr. No Name says, grifter, pothead, mug, you grift for cash. Probably none of those are accurate. But good try, well done, congratulations.
You used to do pot though.
Yeah, years ago I did. So yeah, grifter is probably, I rode a grifter, a rally grifter back in the 80s. It was a real tank of a bike.
That was another example, wasn't it, of something that
And actually,
wasn't that nice, but cost a fortune.
let's go back. How am I a grifter? Am I actually, am I selling you these graphics cards? No. Am I trying to make money out of selling these graphics cards? No. So how does that make me a grifter? I'm giving my opinion, which is different from other people's opinion. If you don't like it, you don't like it, it's fine. But like I said, don't say stupid shit in the comments because you get kicked out. Fred Brown says, Mike, the Power VR card will be coming out soon. The Power VR shook thing up in its day. Yeah, Power VR was used in a lot of console graphics. I believe Power VR was used for the Sega. They used a Power VR chip in the Sega Saturn, possibly. Frecklepini says, oh, Germany in the 1920s. Yeah, that probably was the case then as well. Reese Reed says, I have a R9 280X here that still plays Fortnite pretty good. Yeah, a lot of those cards will, Fortnite's one of the, excuse me, Fortnite is one of those actually quite forgiving games where you can get away with actually quite modest hardware and still get some reasonable performance. Sky Stalker says Mike is not taking any poop today. I'm not. I've got to the point now where I'm just fed up. I'm just fed up with people being like assholes. Yes, there is other options on the market which are inevitably better, but not for the money. And not that you can easily get. You could quite easily, I suppose, you could go on eBay and just sit on there religiously all day long, every day, waiting for that magical card to appear for a great price. Then you've got to win it, then you've got to get it shipped to you, then you've got to test it, make sure it works. It's like, why go through all that hassle? Just look out for one of these cheap somewhere. It's going to happen. There will be about, and a lot of you have said that there's a lot of them around. T-Cat says that I might love you, brother. You're a fun guy. Thank you. I do. It's yeah. This is the thing. The world at the moment is so polarized on everything, every single thing. I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole because you know where this is going to end up, but it's just mental that people have got such strong feelings about something one way or the other. It's like, well, yeah, okay, fine. There's no need to get upset about it. Like, it is what it is. I'm just saying things as they are. You're seeing the footage, I'm putting it on the screen. It's not fudged. I basically don't have the intelligence or know how to do that. If I knew how to actually put in different FPS figures on there, I probably would. Say, look, 200 frames per second for the mighty RX6500XT. Buy one now. They're very, very cheap and very, very fast. But I don't know how to do that, so you just have to take it as it is.
But then other people are entitled to their opinion too.
Yeah, no, people are entitled to their opinion, but it's, I don't know. It depends how, like, calling me a grifter just because I have an opinion is a bit stupid, isn't it? Bless you, Sky Stalker. He says, absolutely agreed, Mike, and your opinion is very valid. I don't need to argue with all of it. That's it. Like I said, it's not...
Don't need to agree with all of it.
You don't have to agree with any of it. It's not like a agree-disagree situation. It's like, this is my opinion. This is what I'm showing you. This is my findings. 99% of all the people on the internet at the moment, which are either arguing or saying stuff about this graphics card, have never actually physically owned it. And that, for one, is one thing that pisses me off massively. If you've actually gone out and bought a graphics card, installed it in your computer, played some games, then if you have an opinion, I'm more than happy to listen to it. But if you're just going to recycle what another YouTuber has said, or someone your mate told you down the pub, although you're not allowed in pubs most of the time, but yeah, if you're just recycling someone else's information, you're saying, no, this is a bad card. I've been told it's a bad card. It's like, okay, that's fine. I've been told loads of things in my life, and sometimes they've been right, sometimes they've been wrong.
Always research everything.
Yeah, research everything, and if you're not sure, do it for yourself. That is my whole thing. Rick H says haters gonna hate. It's not haters, I don't know. There's a massive thing. People are really passionate about NVIDIA versus AMD. That's always going to be a thing, and obviously Intel versus AMD on the processors. So to start off with, you've got that whole kind of north-south divide going on. Then you've got the people that are kind of somewhat privileged and have got a graphics card already, possibly a very high-end one, and they're looking at the numbers and like, I wouldn't touch that with a barge pole. But you don't have to, but you should, if you can, look past that kind of narrow window and look at the people that are... We've got loads of viewers in places which don't traditionally have such high incomes. So we've got people in like India, South America, basically places all around the world where money is tight and PC parts are super expensive. And those guys over there now, in some areas, they're emailing, I'm getting messages and comments. they're saying, Mike, I'm about to buy a Ryzen 3 1200 and XY components. Do you think this is any good? Now, I could be a complete asshole like some of these other people and say, well, why would you want that? That's 5 years old. And why would you want an A320 chipset? That's bollocks. To some people, it certainly is. But there's a massive, massive amount of people out there in the world that don't have a lot of money, don't have access to shops, and work very, very hard to get what they have. So I'm not going to piss on their bonfire and say, oh, don't get that, that's rubbish. I'm going to tell them the truth. I'm going to say, for what you can get in your local area and with your budget, that's absolutely banging, mate. You go for it, enjoy it. Enjoy building it, enjoy using your PC, you've worked hard for it. This is what it can do. This is what it might struggle at. These are things you might want to consider upgrading at a later date, or possibly holding fire maybe a little bit and putting a little bit more towards it and maybe upgrading this, that or the other. That's the way you should do it. Just be kind to people and just explain the differences rather than, no shit, don't buy that. Because that don't help no one. And it just creates animosity and pisses people off. Anyway. There you go. I've got it out of my chest now. John Sutherland says, will you piss out the bonfire asking for a friend?
Will your piss put out the bonfire?
My piss will put out a bonfire, although probably won't if I drink the 10% facts, it'll probably set it up a bit. Ugly Bob says, I went from one of those to having a Rally Burner BMX, blue and yellow one. The blue and yellow was the, if it was yellow with mag wheels, that would be the Sky Burner. I remember that very well, because it had skyways, hence the Sky Burner, or Skyway Burner. Oh, Rally Burners, I miss those days. William Bodie says, I'm grateful for you buying the cards and showing them to us. Thank you very much. Thank you, William. I didn't buy them for that reason. I bought them, A, because I've got systems that I want to build and pass on some parts and recycle some of the stuff I've got here. And in order to do that, I need graphics cards. So I, like a lot of other people, are in a situation where I don't want to sell a PC with an APU. I don't specifically want to sell a PC with an extremely expensive card because there's a chance I'm going to lose a lot of money on it. But with something like this, I can put this into a system, and if I say the PC is going to cost an extra 200 quid with one of these in, people will be like, well, it's 200 quid, that's what they go for, I'll have to pay it.
But aren't APUs overpriced now as well?
APUs are coming down a little bit. APUs were a little bit overpriced. Anyway, so, yes. Let's see. Decats is laugh my ass off. Oh my god! Please don't piss on my bonfire. I won't piss on your bonfire. Mark Berry, question for you, Mike. What gaming mouse do you use? I'm actually split between two stroke 3 at the moment.
Oh, you scared me then. I thought you were Foxy.
Sorry, Kath's scared by something then.
It was George. I thought it was Poppy scratching.
There's the Razer Wireless, the I forget the name of it now. I'm using that one. I'm also using the MSI, actually I have to look, can't even remember that one. The Clutch GM30, and at the moment I'm using the Clutch GM31 over here. But it's been a bit of a mad week, so I changed mice like I changed underpants. I've got there's at least 15 mice on the shelf, and I do kind of regularly swap between them. So there's not one that I actually really stick to all the time. I kind of tend to swap around. I do find, because I'm at my desk all day, my wrist gets really painful if I start using the same mouse for too often. So I quite often flip to a different mouse just to make my wrist a little bit easier. Here's George. Hello, George.
Oh, yeah.
What are you buying?
Probably nothing.
Can you answer Nick Barnes' question up there?
Ugly Bob says, waiting for Mike's iFix. Oh yeah, the iFix. I meant to get onto this as well. Now, Ugly Bob and William Bodie are having a bit of a gift off at the moment, if that is even the word for it. So Ugly Bob has actually sent this, ironically, because like I said earlier, you can never have enough screwdrivers. So this is kind of like a replica kit at least I believe it is, of the iFixit type toolkit. So you've got the magnetic screwdriver bit and an absolute ton of bits there. One thing actually which is quite good, I was going to say good and cool at the same time, and almost made a new word, is this actually got the hex bits. So normally I would use one of these, like a little box wrench, for doing up the motherboard pillars, but this actually has the various sizes as well. So that's actually quite useful, and it has an extension bit as well, which is a little bit on the floppy side. It's had too much facts, I think. So like I said, you can never have enough screwdrivers. I am going to actually have to find out the manufacturer of this, because it is quite anonymous. Bob sent me the details of this, and I might do a fake Jay's 2 cents iFixit type video. There's actually a pretty decent amount of bits in there as well. Got crossheads, flatheads, torques, all those kinds of things. So I am absolutely spoilt for choice now as far as it goes with screwdrivers. I literally got a screwdriver for every occasion. In fact, I could have a screwdriver on that desk, a screwdriver on that desk, and a screwdriver here, and another set there. I will always have a screwdriver. And you know what will happen? I'm guaranteed to lose one as well. Nut driver. That's what she said.
Did you answer Nick Barnes?
Nick Barnes. Did I answer Nick Barnes? I don't think I did. What was the... Why can't I scroll up on here?
I don't know, you can do it with the little bar thing on the side.
Yeah, that's what I'm having to do. Thank you, Bob. Nick Barnes, Q, slightly off topic. Oh God. Oh, that's all right. It's friendly. Mike, slightly off topic. What thickness thermal pads from Arctic would you recommend for GPUs? 0.5, 1mm, or 1.5mm? Thanks for a great channel, Mike. Your honesty shines brightly. Oh, thank you. That's very kind of you to say so. I don't think it's honesty. It's, well, I suppose it is accidentally. I don't do it on purpose. It's just I just say what's in my head. You guys know none of my videos are scripted. It's literally stuff which is going around my head at the time when I'm in front of the camera. I wish I could read from a script. It would make my life a lot easier and stop some of the rambling, but I say it as I see it and what I think at the time. Now, I am not averse to change my mind. So if...
Like that monitor today for it.
Yeah, the monitor. That monitor, that's a new monitor, 4K monitor, which I picked up for £120, which I thought was going to be absolute shite. And it's completely turned my life around. And I...
In an afternoon.
Yeah, that's not really turned my life around. But I was always one of those people that said 4K is pointless. And if you've got anything less than sort of a certain size screen, don't get it. So in order to prove myself entirely wrong, I bought a 24-inch 4K HDR10 monitor, which was the cheapest one I could find on the interwebs for £120. And I've got to be honest with you, I was pretty blown away by it. And bizarrely, I actually did some testing earlier with the 6500 XT playing 4K on, what was it? I can't remember what I played now. Is it Rocket League?
Poppy's on her way round.
Yes, Rocket League. I was playing Rocket League at 4K on the 6500 XT, which obviously is not advisable. Hello. Go, sit over there. The, what was I saying? Oh yeah, sorry, I went off track there completely. The thermal pad thickness, there isn't a generic size for all of them. So what you'll need to do is get some, well, either get a steel rule or something, or ideally if you can, get a pair of calipers. I think they're called calipers for measuring? I think they are. Get some calipers and measure the thickness of the pads you've got on there, and maybe add on a very, very slight amount, depending on how worn they are, because they do contain, I believe they contain an element of silicon and moisture, so they do over time, they compress. So kind of add on a little bit. So if you take them off and they're like 0.9, then obviously it's supposed to be a 1mm. Or if it comes off and it's 0.4, it's supposed to be a 0.5. You get the general idea. So yeah, I don't know the exact answer to that, sorry Nick. What you potentially could do is, because most of them are either 0.5, 0.1 or 1.5, buy the 0.5s and then you can always double them up or triple them up, which might save you a bit of guesswork. Or better still, if you're using the affiliate codes in the video descriptions, then you buy all 3 and makes me happy. Oh dear, my poor shilling throat. Ah, David Aiken, actually that's a very good point. People are forgetting that the RX580 has effectively been replaced by the RX5800. There is a $500 increase in MSRP there. The 6500 XT is not an RX 580 replacement, it's just priced the same today. So that is actually a very good point. Yeah, looking at it in terms of product stack, that does make sense. Stuart Cleary, $20, sorry, €20. Thank you, Stuart. Thanks, Mike and Kath. Do your cats run around the house at 3 AM for no reason like mine? Yes. And normally end up on either Kath's pillow or Angel's.
My face.
Very rarely mine, because I think they know what the outcome of that particular incident would be. Rice Reed says I had a chrome burner. The chrome burner. That was the chrome and. What colour pads did that have? Did it have red coloured pads? The tough burner, which was chrome underneath, had like a translucent black coating on the top and gold pads, I remember. Wow. Right, answered that one. Pure Jim saying Sir Grey. Sue Grey. I don't... Oh. I'm not sure what that is, Pure Jim, but thank you anyway. Markovsky says, you don't know a used car's history, and with mining that creates even more of a doubt of origin. Yeah, like, I can't remember the name, someone said very early on that they just bought a card from CX, a 480 or a 580, and it wasn't particularly well packaged and had a corrupted BIOS. So there is all that could potentially also happen. Decat says, this is a classic discussion, absolutely love it. That's what it's all about, that's what we should be discussing. Because there's a lot of people who've got various opinions. Did Kath say hello to George? Is that our George? I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
Oh.
Did I say hello to George?
Yeah. I think you did. Where are we? Sorry, David Aikens is... sorry, Aitken. Sorry. I shouldn't say S on the end. I used to have a friend called Chris Perkin, and his name was Perkin, but we used to call him Perkins. We just added the S on like people do. And he used to get quite offended by that. It's Perkin! Ultimate Tech Hub says, do you recommend any gaming monitor for 4K? I'll be honest with you, probably not. I've not had enough experience with 4K to really comment on that one way or the other. What I can say, I was surprised about that. The 4K monitor, it's only a 60Hz monitor, it's got FreeSync, and I've been testing it with possibly the worst possible card I could test it with. But it actually seemed very good and relatively flicker free. Quite enjoyable experience. The review has been done and I edited it and uploaded it today, so that'll be coming out soon to members. So I think you'll enjoy it, it's good. Matthew Day says school night. Oh god, yeah, didn't realise time. Sue Gray was hidden by Cav Churchill. There's some strange people in this world, isn't there? Dutch Jan says Mike's opinions are the same as assholes. Everybody has one. It's very true. Well, most people. William Bodie says, you really need a X-Files poster, I want to believe, in the back. We are going to be doing a remodeling at some point. I am getting sick to death of this brick. I might have to go back to the old brick, the white brick, which I liked previously and Kath liked as well. David Aikens, £5 super chat. Thank you, David. Says Mike equals the skint person's champion. It's so easy for Hardware Unboxed and their Megabucks custom desk and studio to say things are too expensive. Yeah, that's... I don't want to like slate Hardware Unboxed in those other channels of that kind of niche or era or whatever you want to call it. But I feel that a lot of them are getting to the point where they've grown to such a point. And no doubt, if we go long enough and we get enough viewers and whatever, that potentially we'll probably get to that point as well at some point. I hope not, because that is the one thing that I've always tried to remain as grounded as I can. Now, yes, it was really nice when people and companies sent in like high-end graphics cards and stuff, and it was cool. But it's not me. It really isn't me. I don't put enough value on hardware to spend that level of money for the amount of use I'd get. Now, bear in mind, I use my PC all day long for video editing, research, gaming sometimes if I'm lucky. So I do use my PC a lot, and it's effectively a work tool. So I could easily justify for my tax return put in basically the most expensive stuff on the market in there. I could do it easily, and it would be like, okay, taxman would be like, yeah, no worries, excellent, carry on, see you next year. But I don't feel that those products offer me enough value. There's, like I said before with the graphics cards, there's an area of money that I'm kind of happy well, not happy, happy is probably the wrong word. I don't like spending money one way or the other. But there's areas where I'm comfortable spending money. And if I have to make some sacrifices to do that, then I'll do it. But I'm not going to say to someone, you should get a 3070 or a 3080 or 6800 or whatever, just because it's faster. Because also it's going to be more expensive. And ultimately, are you going to be a better gamer? Are you going to enjoy your games more? You might do. You might be able to turn up the eye candy. You might be able to go from medium to high. Does it matter if you enjoy it? I don't think it does. Not for me personally. And if you're enjoying your game enough, you shouldn't really be noticing all that stuff flying by you. Because you should be too engrossed in the game to actually look around and go, oh, look at those shadows, aren't they lovely? If you're looking at shadows, the game's been lost on you, it really has. Anyway, Matthew J says we only slate Kerry. Yeah, I'm not gonna slate Kerry anymore. So I think Kerry Holzman, in his heart of hearts, is on our side. I do think that. I don't think he likes spending ridiculous amounts of money on stuff. Wow, didn't think I was going to say that. Cheers, Thomas. Deathstroke says, can I add my computer parts to wife's tax return? If she needs a computer for the business, then why not? Oh God. Ugly Bob says, at David Aiken, Mike's 2 pence. So am I going to be Jay's 2 pence now? Mike's 2 pence. Rick H says, I come here for honesty, Mike. Actually, it's not necessarily honesty, it's just my opinion and my point of view. And I am fed up with it. I am really fed up with it. All these £1,000 graphics cards, £1,000 processors. I saw one of our kind of friends of the English YouTube channels, eTechnics, Andy over at eTechnics. I think he reviewed a $2,000 motherboard the other day. And I couldn't even watch the video. I couldn't bring myself to watch the video because even though I was slightly intrigued on what you get for a 2000 motherboard, I figured that I would never want to own one, so there's no point. It goes against everything that I go, my entire being, my fibre. I don't like spending money unnecessarily. Like, we got a roof that needs repairing still, which still hasn't been done, which I should be chasing up. But it isn't leaking at the moment, so I don't need it done in my head. It does need doing, but it delays me paying for it, so probably a false economy there.
Not if it goes
Especially when it starts raining.
and not when it goes up like the graphics cards for lumber.
Yeah, that's true.
Is it lumber?
Heyo, or Howyo, sorry if I've pronounced that badly, says, you're right, I will enjoy my games more on a higher graphics setting, and it's all about immersion which graphical settings provide, so I will spend the extra moolah to buy a better card. That's cool. If that is what if you find that a graphical setting being increased gives you more immersion in the game, that's cool. And if you've got the money to buy the graphics card, even better. I can actually, I know where you're coming from with that. Playing Far Cry 6, when I've played it on an APU, I honestly can say I didn't enjoy it as much as I did with the graphics card, because I had to put the settings down to such a point that some of the nuances of the design were lost. And that's probably going to be one of the exceptions to the rule, because it is one of those games, and having that extra graphical fidelity actually does help you to see things in the foliage and all that kind of stuff, and the greater draw distance, etc. So in my opinion, personally, for that particular game, having a higher resolution or more textures does benefit the gameplay in a tangible, meaningful way. So if for you, having the high textures and the high like add-on packs and all that kind of stuff to make the game look prettier adds to your immersion, then hell yeah, go for it. I would definitely do it. I'm not well, I wouldn't say there's enough games that I play which that I've noticed to a great extent that has happened. I've phrased that completely wrong. But basically, Far Cry 6 was the only game that I'd found of recent times testing, especially with APUs and things, that I did notice that was, that took something away from the game. Now maybe it's because I play slightly older games, Far Cry probably being some of the newer ones, but your esports, your Rocket League, CSGO, that kind of stuff, they don't really need that level of fidelity, and also they run pretty well on older stuff. So it's going to come down to what you're playing as well. If you're playing games which are extremely texture heavy, then yes, those are your games, that is your kind of genre, your niche. So definitely if increasing the fidelity and resolution helps, then by all means spend a lot more money on a graphics card and you will see a benefit from it. Again, that's what it's all about. It's all about discussion. I'm not saying that you're crazy for spending more money on a graphics card. I'm just saying for me personally, I feel uncomfortable spending it when I don't really need it to a point. Which, and obviously from your point of view, you've said kind of the same sort of thing. Markovsky says £8 a pint in London soon. Going out as a horror story now. Surround yourself with fun at home. And why not? Okay, I know. Calf's pointing at a watch, that means time. Chloe Grice says, depends what you're upgrading from. I went from a RX580 8GB to a RX660 8GB. So yeah, that's, you basically doubled the performance there, I would imagine, if not better. William Bodie says, Mike is the new norm now. Honest and down to earth, I salute it. Thank you very much. It's not, my opinion isn't to everyone's taste either. I appreciate that. If you don't like what I'm saying, that's fine. You don't have to. I'm not here, this isn't a popularity contest. I'm just saying what I feel. If you feel that resonates with you, great. If you feel it doesn't, that's great as well.
But we like to hear their opinions too.
We do like to hear your opinions, which is why I'm reading them as well. Such as... Rick H says, I'm currently playing the old Wolfenstein 3D game. What a blast. I'm not sure if I ever played that.
She probably.
Blake says, off topic, why does the viewer count change as I watch, but the time the stream started stay stuck at 15 minutes ago? I don't know. YouTube is a very weird place. things happen. At the moment, there's a weird thing going on where they're actually removing a load of spam accounts. So they sent an email out or a notification out saying that your view count and your subscriber count may drop because they're taking away spam accounts, but if that spam account has watched a video, they're taking away views as well, which I think is a little bit crap, but...
That's a little bit sus to me.
It does seem a little bit weird.
Why would spam accounts watch your videos?
Yeah. Hauvo, I hope I've pronounced that correctly, says, you've made a valid point, Mike. Keep up the great videos. Yeah, appreciate it. Deathstroke says, good night all. Yeah, I think I should be saying the very same thing. Steve says, Mike, have you done anything in the Lian Li Dynamic 011D case? I haven't. It's something that I've always fancied getting, but I've never thought, well, I've never wanted to spend that much money, especially when I've got a case which kind of is, for all intents and purposes, very similar. Maybe something I'll look at some point. Really Random Review says, opinions aren't facts if they are simply a point of view. That's very true. Opinions are just that. They are just someone's opinion. Unless their opinion is backed up by facts, in which case, then, well, we all know that facts can be manipulated to sound however good or bad you want them to. I think we're all pretty aware of that at the moment. Really Random Review says, in a word, I would describe you and your channel as genuine. Thank you. It's that's something I've been guilty of for a reasonably long time, of wearing my heart on my sleeve. I find it very difficult to hide any emotion, whether that's anger, fear, whatever it is. I tend to show it, and I feel that I show it in my mannerisms, my face, and the way I say things. So I find it hard to say things which I don't believe, which is, again, is another reason why I don't use scripts, because my opinion could change from day to day. And if I've scripted something, then I may not feel that same way. And that feels disingenuous. I like that word, disingenuous. Right, okay, I'm going to have to... I think I'm going to have to wrap this one up. I've gone way over the allotted time, but I thought I'd better give you a little bit more extra time, being that we had to duck out on last week's stream. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. There will be a video review. This one is done already. That one is in the works. I know that these videos are going to prove to be unpopular. I know that in my heart of hearts. It is a very emotive subject, especially with everyone feeling the pinch as they do at the moment. So I would encourage you, please watch the videos, listen to the things I'm saying and my explanations, and obviously what you've listened to tonight, and try and make an unbiased decision and look at where we are now and not where we've come from. And I think if you do that, you'll hopefully see the product in a slightly better perspective. Like I said, it's not brilliant, it's not a great deal, but it is what we have. And yeah, we can't turn back time, unlike Cher. $10 super chat from Joe Panico, thank you. Says, buy yourself and the missus a cup of tea on me. Oh, thank you very much. Thanks for saving me money on Windows 10 keys when using your link. Oh, excellent. Well, we've saved you some money and you've given us some money back. You've probably spent more than you've saved. So I feel like we've probably done better in that particular deal, but thank you anyway. But hopefully if you use premium CD keys for the long term, over a few years or whatever, you probably will save enough to make it worthwhile. So yeah, thank you all for joining us. There's Poppy, come say hello.
Bye.
Pops.
Here's a ball.
Poppy.
Pops.
Right, let me get out of your way. Poppy, look, who's that? Who's that? Oh, bless her. Don't eat the sweets. You'd end up like me, not being able to move out of this chair. Anyway, yeah, thanks again to everyone who's joined us. Yeah, like I said, it's an emotive subject. People are going to disagree. Hopefully, I'm not paid to do this. Genuinely, I'm not paid to do this. Making videos costs me money. I have to put time and effort into this. I have to buy these products mostly. It costs me money to do it. So I'm not doing it to make money. I'm never going to make enough money on this video to pay for these graphics cards. That is for certain, 100% certain. That is not going to happen. So I have got no, it's not like if I make a video to say these are great, that by you watching it, I'm going to make enough money to pay for these cards. It doesn't work like that. It really, really doesn't. Even over the next 5 to 10 years, that probably won't happen. So I bought these because I wanted them and I have a necessity for them. And I'm just showing you what they're like. Hopefully you appreciate it. I've got to be honest with you, I actually enjoyed playing on them. And hopefully that comes through in the presentation tonight. Presentation, that's a new word. From the presentation tonight and also from the videos when you see them. Genuinely, I've had a blast using them. I didn't think I was going to, but I did. I enjoyed them and I wanted to share my experiences with you guys and anyone else who's maybe thinking about buying one. So anyway, that's going to wrap this one up. Thank you all so much for the super chats and such a long stream. Hopefully you haven't all got, your ass has gone to sleep. Mine has, definitely. That's never a good sign. Sign of old age. Anyway, thanks all for watching. Thanks for the super chats. Thanks to William and Bob for sending in those goodies. Appreciate it as always. Thanks to all of you. Yeah, you're amazing. And yeah, hopefully we've disagreed, but we're going to end this as friends. I hope so. Anyway. So I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll see you in the next live stream. Thanks for watching.